Okay, now YouTube is running.
Okay, see there you're live. There we are. Look at our beautiful faces. Cool.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna, okay, then I go over here. Wait, streaming everywhere, YouTube, Twitch. Okay, good. And I'm gonna share my screen with you. I hope that works.
Yeah.
Windows screen one. No, the other screen. Screen two. Screen two. Yeah. All right, now you should be seeing my screen.
Yes, I am seeing your screen. Perfect.
Oh man.
Does it mess with your?
Yeah, no, OBS, like I need to resize the input again.
Of course.
Oh wait, can't I? Because I want to have you as here pin. I'm gonna pin you for everyone.
Let's see how that goes.
Okay, yeah, that's slightly better. But now I need to do the whole resizing thing again. Switch the screen.
Hey, maybe for the user in chat who can't access the stream, you could try Twitch as another alternative. Like there's other places where the stream is happening. Let me see if I can find a Twitch link real quick for you. All right. There's a link to the Twitch channel.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, everything's breaking for me. I don't even get the chat messages. Fun.
Oops.
So you gotta be the person who takes care of the chat now. It's like
Okay, I can do that. I'm seeing myself stretched on your screen right now, which is pretty funny. But
yeah. Wait, but okay. So
well, I was just on the. No, we're good. We're good.
you're good. Okay. So you.
Yeah, I'm like I was watching the lag delayed thing on your stream, not your screen. So
All
we're
right.
good.
Okay. So I can see you well in OBS. That should be working fine.
Cool.
I can't see the chat, but that's all right. Docs chat. Gonna reload it. Yeah. Oh, cool. Now I can see it. Zach Mike's is louder than Peter's. Okay.
Here, let me turn down my gain.
Yeah, I can also do that here.
How's this? Is that any better? Hey, Rebecca, how's it going?
Oh, hang on. Okay.
It's early or late for you, Rebecca? I don't know. It's not a normal time for you, I think.
Can you say something again, Zach, please?
Testing, testing, one,
Yeah,
two, three.
that's cool. Okay. Yeah, I had you double, like the audio was double here. All right, sounds better now.
Okay.
All right, everyone, excuse me for all this like back and forth. It's the first time I have another person in the live stream. So Zach Daniel is joining us today. Thank you very much, Zach, for being here.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Yeah, I actually haven't done this sort of thing either, like a live intro
Yeah.
to Ash. I've watched some of your recent videos, like the Live You Native one, and I was like, oh, that's cool. It's a nice, like, just have somebody experience the thing for the first time.
Yeah,
Which is pretty
well,
cool.
yeah, it's that thing, right? Where like I like to play around with these kind of things, but yeah, sometimes you run into an issue that the creator of the library never anticipated because for them everything is clear because they built the whole thing, right? But if you come
Oh yeah.
new into something, then sometimes you're just missing like what we had with Live You Native, you know, was just like, okay, so what is the next installation step now? Like how do I actually run my Live You Native apps, for example?
Mhm.
So yeah. Anyway, but I appreciate that you made time to join us today. So the idea basically for the live stream will be that we will dive into Ash framework, right? And ideally, we build a little project with it. Like before we started the stream, we discussed ideas, and I think we could just build something like a Twitter clone. You know, I would like to test out also something that Ash adds that Phoenix framework that doesn't come with the Phoenix framework. For example, like the Google login. I think you support that, right? With like one line of code or something.
I think we'll have an easier time if we do magic link, for
Magic link.
example,
Okay.
because Google, you have to like there's a whole like aligning of settings with your Google provider setup,
Okay.
and making sure they're all right, and like it can be kind of fiddly, not because of Ash, but just because setting up OAuth requires
Okay.
you know
Yeah, no problem.
that. Yeah.
So Magic Link would be cool as well. Yeah.
Yep.
Magic Link, yeah, and then we just have some basic like a form where we need to create a tweet. Like you can just write a tweet. You have a form. Yeah, and then you also have some pops up, for messaging, stuff like
Yep.
that. All right, cool. So,
Yeah.
how? Okay, you can also be the guide entirely. So if you tell me what I need to do, I will do it happily. But otherwise, I also just like look at the documentation and try to figure it out myself. But I think it would be better if you
It's an interesting question. That's the choice we have to make fear from the outset, right? Is like, do you want to do what a beginner would do and use me as a resource, right? So like, do you want to go to this getting started guide and do what it says, or because I think that might actually be a little bit better of an experience, because that's what other people will do.
All right. Okay. So I search for the Ash framework in all caps, and we have the beautiful website here. I will allow cookies. Talk to an expert. Will I be connected to you if I do that?
Yeah, that goes to Alembic, which is they employ me, and they're
okay.
by far and above the biggest sponsor of Ash.
Okay, cool. Good to know. All right, so we got the get started, but we can also run the live book. So maybe I do the live book thing. Okay. Yes.
People really like the live book experience. I didn't make it even. It was contributed by another user, and I've maintained it in various ways.
Cool.
But people do really like this.
All right. Okay, cool. Yeah, I like it too. So, okay, you have different resources here. Okay, but I'm just going to install this. And it's going to install Ash. Yeah, Ash basically. Right. Okay. Alrighty. Cool. So we create Ash resources, query them, and use ETS as your data storage. We won't be building an overarching application. Okay. Well, in that situation, maybe I would rather go with the intro.
Yeah.
Because we want to build a Phoenix application, right?
Right. Exactly. Like that does show some concepts, but
right.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. All right, so I'm gonna skip right to what is Ash. What get started? All right, this is a get started guide. Yeah, we already got everything installed. Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, I want to use Igniter. I'm a big fan of Igniter. Like I looked at the Beacon CMS. We also talked about that earlier, but I had a look at the Beacon CMS from Dockyard, the CMS, and they use Igniter for installing the CMS in your application. So, and actually, what I saw there, which I really liked. Hello. What I really liked in the Igniter is that you have these helper functions that give you, for example, the application name and these kind of things. So if you want to generate code, yeah, you can just, if you want to have your module having the same namespace as the previous application, then it's kind of hard sometimes to actually get that name. So it's cool that the Igniter actually does it for me, really. So
yeah, there's tons of useful stuff in there too. Like like anything you can think of. Like you can say like ensure that this configuration is set in the config file, and it like does this whole magic thing. But yeah,
cool, awesome. We will see that. All right. Let me see. So we got this one copy.
Oh, yeah, and what I will say is, it's kind of I think there might be. Oh yeah, check out that section on if you already know that you want to use Phoenix and Ash together. Well, yeah, you can do this first. That first step.
This one, right? Igniter.
Yep.
Install. All right. By the way, also this one doesn't copy, but maybe it's my issue.
No. It's a hexdoc. It's an xdoc issue. I think there was a bug about it in xdoc. I either need to update xdoc in Ash and republish, or maybe I'm not sure if it's been fixed, but
okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Cool. So, do you want to install Igniter? Yes. And it's installed. Cool. All right. And you said we should look at the something else with Phoenix.
It's right. It's right up there, but I'll do the
all right, here.
yeah, if you already know that you want to use Phoenix.
So in this situation, it tells me, oh, you do the with flag to generate a project with Phoenix New. Okay, so it's using Phoenix New, the generator, for generating an Ash project and a Phoenix project at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah. So the basic problem is like, Igniter generators are all composable in a really cool way, but Phoenix.new is just using it's, you have to run that first to create your project.
Right.
So.
All right, let's do this. So I want to do, not help desk. Let's call this shitter. Okay, so I got, Igniter mu shitter install Ash with Phoenix, and then we cd into that new folder. But yeah, if I do this, I gotta change my working directory. So development, and I'm gonna do it in here. Sorry.
All right, yeah. Nicolas is telling me not to help so much. Just like watch what happens.
All right. Yeah, it's hard, right? I mean, if you see somebody using your own thing, and it's just hard to not immediately dive in. Oh, you have an issue. Let me immediately help you with that. No, but this is cool. Yeah.
I'll try to cut like a balance, because the point is you do have me here, so it's like that is
true.
There should be good commentary, etc. But yeah, it's like I should give you a second to
Let's see
to grok.
Yeah, so I don't need my Wi-Fi. Alrighty, so we got the project set up. Yeah, my computer's a little slow with running OBS and Google Meet at the same time, so... Oh, I lost my network connection. Whoopsie daisy. All right, sorry, I'm back.
I just watched you turn your Wi-Fi off.
Well, the thing is, I have a connection, like internet connection as well. But so I have a little Cal digit. Was it an adapter? And it just didn't work. I don't know. Something. It's one of these days where, nothing works as expected. All right, let me pin you again. Let's see. Okay, we're back. We're back, everybody. Maybe the chat can let me know whether we are still, whether they can still see us. I hope so.
All right.
I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we're good. I'm looking at us on the stream.
Okay, so
although my face like big. Okay, no, that's right. Let me actually zoom out slightly just so I don't have such a big.
All right, cool. Face. Okay, we're streaming. Alrighty. Okay, cool. So I generated the project here, and all good. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So it's giving you like a interactive version. You could pass like -- yes or -y or something to just say like just do answer yes to all the prompts, but this way you can kind of see what it's changing. It ran Phoenix New, and then now it's showing you what changes.
Right, and that changes because we ran the install Ash command here, right? Oh, okay. It's also cool that it finds the latest version. I always have that issue when I want to add a dependency, that I always need to go to hex pm, find the latest version, and then I add it here in the.
Yeah.
So okay.
Totally.
Maybe I just use Igniter all the time now.
That's actually legit a thing. So I'll show you what I mean when we're done here. But Igniter has use even if the project in question doesn't use Igniter.
Yeah.
And it's just that mix igniter.install works with any dependency.
Right.
So like it just won't have an installer, but that's fine, right? Like maybe there's no need for an installer for that tool.
Yeah, but I mean, I can install any dependency with that from Hex, right?
Yep. Awesome. And from GitHub.
And from GitHub as well. Right. Cool.
Yep.
But it will always add it to the top of my dependencies?
It does, I think, add it to the top of your dependency. For now. We actually talked about adding some categorizing stuff to like and all sorts of cool things, but that's
yeah, that's all right. I mean, that's the easiest to just like move it down into the right position. All right, so it asked me a bunch of stuff here. So following installer will found executed. So it will add the import depths. It will add the formatter for Spark and the configuration here. And that goes into the config exs. Okay. Yeah, sure. Sounds good. Proceed. And we're in the project, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I open that here, I also gotta add make everything bigger. All right, cool. All right, so let me have a look here. So we got our mix exs, and in here we already saw that Ash is installed and Igniter as well. Aside from that, it is the normal Phoenix project. Right on. Also, I don't have the latest RC of LiveView. That's maybe an issue. 7.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, bump that up. I think the squiggly arrow will get you the latest.
Yeah.
Like it should
7,
have been. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I might be right. I don't know.
Fun fact: the current generator for the release candidates, if you run mix compile, you'll have a warning.
Yeah.
From getText.
Yeah, I already saw that earlier.
I believe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you do.
The migrate thing. Can I do the migrate thing?
Yeah. You can say mix igniter.update getText, and it will.
Cool. Let me do that after I compiled here the files.
Yeah.
Okay, but aside from
that, this one annoying thing about Igniter right now is sometimes it recompiles deps like multiple times. You know, and for Ash, that's like actually like takes a minute. You know?
Yeah, so, it's like 500 files here. So
yeah.
All right.
But so now you can do the
So I do mix igniter, and then what do I do to fix this?
.update _get text.
Like this?
No, it's just like all one word.
Oh, it's a task here.
It's its own task because like it doesn't live inside of getText. So.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it tries to update the dependency and some other stuff here. Yeah, it adds backend.
Yeah, and you can scroll up to the warning and see like that's what they're telling you to do in.
Yeah.
Warning.
I saw that here. So you need to add change the getText to getText backend, and then add the backend in your getText file. All right, cool. Yes. But just hit enter.
So Borft in the chat is saying that that's really useful. You can use that right now. Like just add Igniter to your project and do it.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
And yeah, it requires because it's making changes to your code.
Yeah.
We made prompts require an explicit.
Makes sense.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So if we look at the getText now, it actually updated it here and in web as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and you should do like get init and like all that sort of stuff because it'll just help like if you're doing generators. We actually warn if there's unstaged git changes in your project.
Right on. Okay.
But if you do like a commit, that'll help keep it clean as you're making changes.
All right, let's push this to GitHub then.
Cool.
And push.
You need to add and commit.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Cool.
Alrighty. So
now people can have that code too. That's
exactly.
Nice.
So Ash shitter on my GitHub. Okay, cool. So let's I want to have a little walk around here first. So is anything else that you changed in the? I mean, I saw some changes when I created the project, the Phoenix project, right? But like aside from
that's it actually.
That's it.
There's nothing else. Yeah.
Okay.
Ash doesn't like. Well, okay, not like. Ash doesn't have the same kind of like file sprawl of like required stuff that you need to run an Ash app, and you'll kind of see like a lot of that is because Phoenix has those things, but like Phoenix does things that we need it to do, but
cool.
You'll kind of see how it goes over time. So
all right, okay, well then I continue with the get started thing. So we created our project. Yeah, we actually added the GitHub the Git connection. I don't want to skip to the end. I could get some example code, but we're gonna do it together, so that's fine. But I do see that they install Ash Postgres, so maybe I need to install that one.
You'll probably want it, yeah.
Yeah. Because what does Postgres does? What does it do?
It, it's the Postgres data layer, so it's like how you could have like how you could have your resources backed by Postgres.
Oh, so it doesn't do that by default. The
Correct. Yeah, it's not included in the core thing.
Okay, interesting. All right. I want to do that, but I don't want to use the example, so I'm only going to do.
So this is actually, I'm going to make a note about this, but you want to use mxigniter.install since you already have a project.
Mxigniter.install, and then Ash Postgres, right?
Mm-hmm.
And do I need the extend Postgres thing, or is that only for the example?
No. Yeah, that's only for if you're generating resources, it'll make them use Postgres.
Oh, I see. Okay, so I'm just gonna do, yeah, mxigniter install Ash Postgres.
This will change a lot more things also.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Yeah, we add the dependency. That's fine. Now we do mix get, mix steps get. All right, what's this? What is the minimum Postgres version you will be using? Ash Postgres uses information when generating queries or migrations to choose the best available features. All right. Yeah, default 16. Which one do I have running? I think I have 13 running right now. But I do have a 15. Do I have a 15? Yeah, I have a 16 even running, so let's do the 16. Whoopsie daisy. Okay, and start the 16. Right. So yeah, default 16. Can I just press enter?
Yeah.
I can. Good. Because it didn't give me that yes no thing, but makes sense. All right, so a lot of stuff is going to change here. Let's see. It is adding import depths. What do you do this for? Import depths.
So that is the formatter rules for that dependency. So it's the functions that don't require parentheses.
Right, I see.
It's pretty much the only thing.
Sorry. Okay, yeah, sure, makes sense. The formatter, section order, Postgres for the resource. Interesting.
So what's actually kind of cool and is what you're not seeing here is because you generated a Phoenix project, it already configures the repo. So if you didn't have all of that repo config stuff, we would have added it.
Oh, this
so like yeah, and like all the stuff in config files and stuff, we just reuse it because it's already there. Right. So it's like a really smart generator. So you could actually even try it if you go and you delete the repo config somewhere, like in your config dev, for example.
Yeah, this one, for example.
Like, yeah, just if you just delete that and then rerun the installer, it'll add it back.
All right.
Might add it slightly differently, you know, but it'll.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, 16. Enter. Warning. Uncommitted gig changes. All right. Okay. But I can already continue. And hang on. Okay. So it's still adding the formatter and the config. And then, yeah, it's adding back the repo. That's pretty cool, actually. Yeah. And
so yeah, if you had never had Ecto at all installed, it would install all of that stuff that's required to run Ecto.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, and also adds the correct database. That's awesome. Config Ash disable in async in my test. Why does it?
Yeah, so you can have so you can have async tests like if you're starting processes in your tests and they might run database queries and stuff.
Yeah,
it's like so the SQL Sandbox will work for you and test.
Why is it disabling async though?
Well, it's disabling Ash from starting any processes internally.
Right.
So Ash won't do anything async. It does everything synchronous.
Oh, okay. I see. So yeah, that's for Ash. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, and it's gonna replace my active repo with Ash Postgres repo.
Yep. So, which they're compatible. The Ash repos just has more stuff.
Oh, okay. So I can still use the Ash repo same way I used my repo before, like add it to active queries and stuff. Okay.
Mhm.
And the min PG version. All right. It's gonna add a new. Yeah, it's gonna add me to the. It's gonna add an. What is that? That's the test script in Mix. Yeah. So it's adding Ash setup instead of create and migrate. Cool. And it's running. Do you want to run the seeds and test? Usually I don't. Ash.
That's a good question. I don't know.
Oh, hang on. Well, yeah, so I was confused because it's called Ash setup, but then it has another Ash setup here, which also calls Ash.
Yeah, yeah.
I was confused. I thought this would actually call this, but it doesn't.
It will.
It will.
Oh, it will. Yeah, mixed aliases are recursive like that, or like they go to the other aliases. I'm like pretty sure that's the case.
Yeah, I think
maybe
so
I'm
too.
wrong, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see what you're saying. Maybe you don't want to run seeds and tests.
Yeah,
maybe we should fix that.
Never run seeds and tests. No, I mean seeding is just for, I don't know, my dev environment really. Yeah. All right, we gotta change that later, but it's fine for now. I mean it's empty anyway. But good to know.
Yeah.
All right, proceed with changes. Yes. Exciting. Okay.
So it also scheduled a task. I don't know if you saw that, but it scheduled if you scroll up a little bit more, right there. Following tasks will be run after the above changes.
Following task will be Ash CodeGen initialize. Okay. And that
then you can see that's that. So it generated some files for you.
Okay, so the snapshot and the migration here. Oh, I see. Yeah, that's something also like it's similar to what is it, Active Record, right? Where you can say, kind of add a field to a resource or a schema, and then when you actually add the field, it also generates the migration at the same time.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool.
So in this case, it does. There's no resources, but it's doing some setup stuff for you.
Yeah, makes sense. So if we look at this, initialize extension 1. Ash Elixir or interesting. Ash and what are those?
These are asking the big questions. No, these it kind of goes deep into some of the expression stuff that we do. We have this portable expression syntax where like you can evaluate it in Elixir or evaluate it in Postgres and it'll get the same result. And part of that is we wanted you to be able to use like and or like to get similar. So that's the operator that makes a Elixir-ish and in Postgres, where it's like null or false.
Oh, it's a falsy truthy thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. But because it is a little confusing because if you use and in an expression Elixir, it requires you to send a Boolean.
Right.
If you do nil and 1, it actually gives you a Boolean error.
Yeah. But if you do and with like the ampersands.
Yeah. Oh,
so that's the same for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's so that because Postgres doesn't have that operator. Right. It doesn't have like falsy or whatever, it has nil, it has coalesce, right? So nil or null or whatever. And it has but not the one we needed.
So you also do when 1 is not null, then 2 else 1. Okay, interesting. And yeah, trim white space, raise error. So you brought a lot of even UUID version 7. That's pretty cool. Yeah, you brought the Elixir, the goodies from Elixir into Postgres.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, UUID version 7 includes the timestamp, right, for ordering. That's cool.
Exactly. Yep.
All right, maybe we use that because if we build a Twitter clone, we will have so many tweets that we need to kind of find a way to order them efficiently.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Okay, yeah, so we got our project set up. Can I just run Mix Phoenix server and will it show me something?
Yes, it will. Yeah.
Good. Let's do that. Oh, yeah, I need to set up my database. But yeah, I mean, I will just mix Ecto setup. But that would not run S setup.
It was supposed to. Oh, that Ecto setup should have been. Oh, just run Ash setup. That's what you should do.
That's why. Yeah.
Yeah. It actually is fine if you just run Ecto setup, but Ash setup should be like what you're kind of default thing is, because that does like more stuff too.
Oh, I see. So I would not use Ecto setup anymore. I would just use S setup.
Right.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it installed the things that ran the migration. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So let's start the server and go to localhost. Right. Okay.
Yep.
Same.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, really, like not much has changed about your app at this point.
But cool. Okay. So let's get started then. So what's the next step that you give here? Create your first resource. That's what we want, right? So
yep.
This will create a
okay. I can already see a problem with this.
All right.
We should add our new mix ash.gen.resource command to like the create your first, like to show you at least that you can, because I think that's probably what you want to use.
So was that
ash.gen.resource to getting started guide.
And that's
if you do mix help, you'll see kind of like all the different stuff you can do.
Right, yeah, because here what it gives me actually is I need to do it manually. That's what it tells me to do.
Yeah, it's like walking you through how to physically do it
yourself. I see. Yeah, okay, no, I like this better. Okay, I'm gonna do mix help and then ash.gen.resource. And that's gonna give me the docs here. All right. So we generate and configure an Ash resource, and the example here has the ticket. It had default actions read, primary key ID, attribute, subject, string, required public. So would I need to create an attribute for every single field that I have?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's the relationship to the representative, timestamps, extend Postgres and GraphQL. Okay. I only want Postgres, right? Because we only want to store it in Postgres.
Yep. And based on what we were talking about, you also want you want to probably use --uuid -v7 primary key ID because you want.
Yeah, I'd say -s v7 primary key. Right. Okay, but I think the first thing we need is accounts, right? I mean, I want to log in, and then I want to connect the tweets to the account that's actually sending them, right?
Okay, so then yeah, we're not even gonna start with gen resource. We're gonna start with installing another package at that point.
Okay. And that is somewhere here. Is it already mentioned?
It's not in there either.
No.
Yeah. link to Ash Authentication and getting started guide. Okay, cool. Learning a lot of good stuff here.
No, it's not here, right?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. It's in.
But it's very small. Okay. And it doesn't even mention your authentication stuff. It just means Phoenix Gen Auth. Is that what we need?
Oh, because that's a header in the alternatives to Ash guide, is why.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I see.
No, it's not your fault. There should clearly be in the Ash core docs at least a guide that says for authentication, go use Ash Authentication.
Yeah, right. Because I mean, you have a lot of different ways to authenticate here, so
yeah, it
would be cool to have that somewhere.
All right. So for you,
yes,
you can mix igniter.install.
Help, something is wrong. Okay. Mix Ash igniter.
Just igniter.install.
Igniter install, and then Ash.
And then you're gonna do Ash Authentication _Phoenix. Yeah, that'll do like the whole shebang.
All right. So that does it. Okay. So what do we have here? Output of Postgres. The formatter. Continue. You will be prompted again to accept the above changes. So it does. It makes changes to all of these.
No, that's actually just.
Oh, that's the uncommitted changes.
Sometimes where we check. Yeah, sometimes we check ahead of time when we're about to make changes to your mix.x's. I should unify those experiences, but yeah, you could just.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
What's it? Add Postgres. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna do this again. Ignite install. All right. Now it's gonna install the Authentication Phoenix library. And that's probably gonna change a bunch of stuff. I'm wondering, like, how do you keep these things in sync? Like, how do you make sure that they're still working, even because you have a lot of different libraries, right? That's what I saw. Like, how do you make sure that they all kind of work together well?
Yeah. So the primary way is we have a sub-project test. Whenever anything is pushed to Ash core,
yeah,
it's run against all of the tests of all of the other projects are run against Ash main.
Oh,
So we
okay.
know whenever we've broken a sub project,
Mhm.
and generally speaking, they only go in like downwards. Like Ash authentication depends on Ash, and so it's like there's some. I mean, sometimes we make a mistake even, but
Right. So this is the whole Ash project, and that's the Ash core, I
yeah,
guess. Yeah.
yeah. When I say Ash core, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And you can see like, yeah, there's a test sub projects
Right.
in
Oh,
here
okay.
that.
Yeah, you got all these CSV, Postgres, authentication to Phoenix. That's the one we have. Man, wow, okay. A lot of tests you're running then.
Yeah.
Wow, okay, then I understand. That's pretty cool then. Yeah. In these tests, do you also run the installer? Like what I did now, the igniter install. Like, do you run these
No,
commands
don't
too?
do that.
No.
It's a good idea, but the problem is like it's hard to verify. We could run the installer and verify that it compiles, but to verify that it's like correct
Yeah.
or like did what we intended it to do is just pretty hard.
Right. Yeah.
So we just rely on individual tests for the installers. Like Igniter has a bunch of testing tools to test that your installers do what they say they do, etc.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I was just wondering because you get, usually if everything is in the same library, then you can always, test everything at once. But in your situation with all these different combinations and variations,
that is the challenge for sure.
All right. Cool. So as authentication, we already got some warnings, some compiler warnings here.
Yeah, that's just a deprecation I need to fix in
Right.
Ash Authentication Core.
All right, now we have Ash Policy Authorizer requires a SAT solver. Which would you like to use? Picosat Elixir. And if wrapper on the Picosat. What is an SAT solver?
All right, that's another thing to add into that little message right there.
Because
so we use it for our authorization layer. It's a constraint solver. So like if you say like this has to be true and this has to be false and this has to be true and here's the combination of things, you can run it through a solver to tell you like, yeah, that if these things are the case, then
right.
that will work and that sort of thing. So it's how we do like large scale complex authorization rules efficiently.
Okay.
And we use it for a couple other things like that.
Right. So these would be like permissions and like my role, stuff like that.
Stuff like that, yeah.
Okay. Because SAT is usually the American high school thing.
Oh,
right?
it actually SAT should not be capitalized. It's not an acronym. It's a shortening of the word satisfiability.
Okay. Interesting.
So,
well, I'm curious. What is this Picosat? It's a real-time tracking satellite.
No, that's not it.
Okay.
Look up Picosat Boolean solver.
Yeah, that's an Elixir library. Here, satisfiability. That's a Rust library. Yeah, you said that. Yeah. It's a solver for Boolean variables and Boolean expressions. The SAT solver can determine if it is possible to find assignments to Boolean variables that would make a given set of expressions true. If it's satisfiable, it can also show a set of assignments that make the expression true. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this is like probably some of the most complex deep dive work that I've done on Ash. It took me like 6 months to get this right.
Oh, really?
In the day. Yeah, wow. But the way the authorization is set up, it's like we turn all of these procedural rules into a big Boolean statement, and then we pass them to a solver, and it says, okay, if all of these things are true, then they would be allowed. And we say, well, are those true? Yeah. And if they are true, then we're like, you're good to go. And if they're not true, then we say, okay, they're not true. You add that to the expression, and it's like, okay, well, if all of these things are true, then they'd be good to go. And we're like, well, that's not true either, So we have this whole like system. It's really complicated. It's like the headiest work that I've done.
It sounds very complicated. Yeah.
Do you have that? Internally complicated. To end users, you don't have to worry.
Makes sense. Yeah.
You don't have to care about that sort of thing.
Yeah. Tools for working with set solver that drives filter subset checking for authorization. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody uses these.
No.
It should probably be a private module, honestly.
Oh well, yeah. Do we have private modules now? Well, yeah, if you don't add the module doc here, probably. Or if you exclude
exactly,
it. Yeah.
I think that's the definition. Currently, that's what they mean with private modules. But it would be cool to have actually private modules.
Yeah, actually, I heard that, what was it, Jose, I think, Yeah, on Monday he made a live stream. I think he mentioned that. He was like, yeah, maybe that's a good idea to have private modules. Because yeah, I mean, I also had another discussion today on Blue Sky with somebody who set up kind of like a facade module for like for a
Right.
certain subdomain. So you have like my app foo, and then you have my app foo query finder, whatever. But you don't want people to actually call into these submodules. You only want to have like a
Yeah.
one context, and he used delegate for that. And I used that before also in another project. And we use boundary eventually to prohibit,
Right.
to block any calls into submodules. But if that was just built into Elixir, it would be so much nicer. Yeah.
Right. It's kind of interesting. Like I that stuff is cool and all, but I also think that in a lot of ways it can be sort of productivity theater
Yeah,
in a way.
maybe.
Like okay, I believe in boundary, for example. I think boundary is a great tool,
Mm-hmm.
but I think you'll see like in Ash in a lot of ways it's like we actually we squish a lot more things together, like
Yeah.
on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't there's not this like separate your app into 7 layers that all have a bunch of conventions, and those 7 layers, like because things get so duplicative, things get so difficult to, like, I think that's like the seed of spaghetti in a
Right.
lot of ways, is this idea that I'm gonna like explode my app out into like these things that all have to like sort of line up and work together.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I'm like, how do I avoid that problem? How do I make the interface not so confusing that I have like that I need like a query builder
Right.
dedicated to every single thing, and all that sort of stuff. And you'll
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're moving kind of slow, but which is good, which is fine. But you might not
Lots
see
of
it today.
questions.
Is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well. Okay. Now I got your point. You have a good point. We should continue with this one. We just kind of fell down the rabbit hole into the SAT solver here.
Yeah. We could do an episode 2. That's fine.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna use the PicoSat Elixir solver 1. All right. So that's gonna add the dependency. Yes. And yeah, Ash is recompiling once more.
I gotta fix that in Igniter. It's a really complicated thing. I didn't know that was going to be the hardest part of Igniter, but the fact that we have to recompile certain depths and do stuff, that took weeks and weeks to get right. Like, well, 2 weeks, I guess, but
well,
it's hard.
That's weeks
it's a hard
and weeks.
problem.
Yeah. But
yeah,
why do you need to recompile everything?
We don't need to recompile everything. We need to recompile some things, and and we need to recompile them based on depths changing, and Elixir just isn't set up for you to do that. Like to change depths and then reevaluate your new depths and then recompile. You always stop and restart.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah.
So everything goes through your app, or like you can only recompile your app, or why can't you recompile only the dependency?
They're expecting when you like you it's hard to recompile a dependency live on the machine. Like you can recompile modules and stuff like that.
Right.
But Mix is not set up to be expecting you to be like recompile this dependency live right now without restarting anything, because it has all these like caches of what the dependencies are and the modules and the stuff, and it just gets really complicated.
Right.
It's not an impossible thing. It's just the tooling. There's nothing right now that Elixir needed to do that. You would always stop and restart. So anyway.
So you mean you can only recompile the entire dependency or nothing?
It's expected you would stop and rerun mixcompile to do it, because there's in-memory caches, and there's no button called recompile dependencies that looks to see if their version changed and then recompile. It doesn't do that.
Oh, and that's because the script we're currently running, that like this is a script, right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's because
it's a mixed task, but so we downloaded new dependencies, and then we have to recompile those new dependencies that weren't there when it started.
Right, but we're still in the same task. Like we're still running this task, so we can't just stop the task and then continue.
Exactly.
I see. Yeah. Well, okay, interesting. Today I learned. All right, a lot of stuff is being added here. I will just accept it, I guess. I'll just trust the magic.
Yeah, you're getting users and tokens. That's what you're getting.
Yeah, well, it's the same as in Phoenix Auth, Phoenix Gen Auth. So, all right, I'm just gonna do yes, of course.
Do it.
There you go. Now I'm curious what it all added. Let's see. Okay, we need to also change the tailwind. Yeah. Modify your tailwind config to add the new files. So I guess this one.
Yep. Yeah, we can't. Igniter doesn't have like fancy JavaScript editing, but we're working on it actually. We have a user who's working on getting a Rust library set up to parse JavaScript files so that we can like modify the code of JavaScript files in the same way that we do Elixir files.
Okay.
Should be pretty cool.
That's cool. Yeah, indeed. Definitely. All right, cool. So we got this thing. That's what it told us to do. Don't forget to add at least one authentication strategy. That's what I want to do. You can use the task mix as authentication add strategy or view the docs. Let me view the docs. All right, get started. Using Igniter. Yeah, we already did this. Choose a strategy. So we want, yeah, password and magic link. That's what we can do. Can we do GitHub? Is that easy with GitHub?
You can't. There is no one-click installer for those. You have to do it. But it is. Those are actually like easier than. There's a lot less ceremony required to do those. It's just get the config right.
Right. You need to do a new auth app. So you need to create a new app here. Yeah. All right. Okay. Now let's do magic link and. Actually, let's do only magic link. Because you know, password is something you get with Phoenix as well, but magic link not. So, okay, so I do mix add strategy and then magic link. Is this underscore? I guess. All right, bunch of changes. Yeah, these are the uncommitted ones. This one's gonna change. This is my resource, right?
Yeah, that's your user resource.
Yeah, okay, bunch of stuff. Yeah, we can have a look at this after everything's done. Proceed with changes. All right. Let me add the add magic link auth. Boom. Actually, I never. Yeah.
I was gonna say there's one thing we should probably include in those generators is a task to run CodeGen again, because you'll actually just see if you run your app. Maybe I'll just let you see it to show you what I mean.
To run the app now.
Yeah.
All right, the migration.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. But Phoenix does the same. Yeah.
Well, no, that's not what I'm talking about. Go to /sign -in, because like we don't modify the basic thing. So sign
dash in. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, and just try it and see what happens.
If a user exists in the database, you will be contacted. All right, that sounds good. No?
Yeah, it's a little bit different actually, but
if I go to the mailbox, nothing there.
It's not doing that. Yeah. Look in your console. Yep. We talked about this. We actually want to set this up like better, but you're also getting an error.
Right.
So this one is like nothing added the email column to the users, which is required. We can do that. I just need to add that task to execute. So you'll have to do it manually.
So which one would that be?
Mix ash.codegen after after strategy add. Yeah. So mix ash.codegen. And then you can give it that's it. And then you'll give it a name.
Okay.
So call it like add password or add magic link.
Add magic link to users. Okay. And this is creating a migration, or what does it do? Oh, yeah, it's creating migration.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that the way where you look at the current state of your resources and you look at the migration, and if there's something missing, you generate a migration?
Yeah, we look at the snapshot files that we've made.
Right.
So that's how we sort of figured out. We don't look at the current state of the database because that would be fraught with problems.
Yeah. Okay, so all of these are JSON files here for example, users. Yeah. And you got some attributes, the repo, table users, and then more attributes.
Yeah, so every snapshot is a full snapshot of that. Yeah. Of the table for that resource and stuff like that.
Because I got my, what's the name here? Source ID. And then I got source ID again. And now I have an email as well. Okay, generate false. All right. Cool. All right. Okay, so now if I do this thing again, if I do the login again, will it work?
Yeah, it should.
Request magic link. There's no mail.
So it's not into your mailbox. It's in your console on the left.
Oh,
that's
I
the
see.
thing we want to do. We don't actually set up a proper mailer. We just
Right.
we show you a stub of how you can do it. Like if you find the code where it's putting that out, there's like a commented out thing that says like to do the thing. Anyway, yeah, you're logged in now.
Okay.
There's nothing that shows you, so you might want to like go to your home thing and get like a current user, or edit your that template.
The template, yeah.
Yeah.
But before we do that, I would like to just have a quick look at the resources that we've been generating.
Yeah.
Because we got the accounts and then the user. Okay, so this one, and then we also get a folder here with senders. Send a magic link. Okay, a sender is an email sender, I guess. So
it's a whatever you want, really. Its job is to communicate in some way with users. So you could use magic link with phone number, for example, instead of email. And so maybe that's job is to send a text message.
Right. This is what you mentioned with it's commented out, because this is the email sending logic, but it's commented out.
Yeah, we don't add the thing in jitter.accounts.emails because we just didn't do that work to patch that in. It's just a little bit harder.
Okay.
It's doable, but we haven't.
How would you add the email sending then? With Phoenix or Swoosh?
Yeah, I mean it's the standard like Swoosh email pattern that we're kind of expecting to exist.
Okay.
But like I forget what that looks like. It's like, whatever, because they generate.
Yeah, we have the mailer here, for example. This is what you usually use. But then you have when you generate the mix mix Phoenix gen auth, you also get a user notifier module, which has a bunch of just text-based emails.
Right.
And we don't have that part yet. But I mean, you would just do this one shitter.
Yeah.
Like I think deliver or something. And but you would need to build your email first. So yeah. Okay, but
yeah, we don't do that yet, which is a little bit less convenient than Phoenix Gen Auth, I guess. But they don't have magic link, so I don't know.
It's like give and take. Right?
Yeah. But that's actually we have an open ticket about that because Rebecca, who may still be on the call, it's late for her, but she's working on the authentic. Oh yeah, she said it in chat just now. We'll create an issue about improving this because she's working on that chapter in the book as we speak.
Oh, you have a book about this?
Prog. Yeah, we got a Prog book coming soon.
Oh, cool. Is it already announced on Prog?
It's announced. Well, I don't know when they announce it. So maybe not, but okay. We're well into it.
Well, you just announced it, so that's good enough.
Well, everybody knows about it. People ask us like constantly. We announce it like early like beginning of the year.
Interesting. Cool.
So yeah.
Okay, so we got a resource, and this resource has a data layer, so it's actually saving it to Postgres. Interesting. Could I have multiple data layers here?
You can only have one data layer for a resource.
Yeah. So what was the other data layer? GraphQL or so? No, I mean that's more the interaction.
That's those are just lists of extensions. So there's SQLite, MySQL, CSV. Those are data layers.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because we use Ash Postgres here. We could also have Ash MySQL instead.
Right.
Okay. And we got the authentication extension, some authorizers with some policies here. Okay. And the domain. Interesting. Is that something that you only use internally, or does it actually have some, like, is there something around domains that people should follow?
Yeah, I mean, generally domains are like broad segments of your application. And you can define interfaces at the domain level to have like a sort of Phoenix contexty like experience. Domains are a pretty important concept.
So I could say, hey, generate a context that has shitter accounts as a name, and then it would have a bunch of like CRUD functions.
No, so that's the kind of one of our fundamental differences, right? So if you look at you can go to that module, that accounts domain.
Yeah.
its job is to, like, the logic lives in resources,
Right.
but it can act as an interface. So we always know what domain we're acting in the context of.
Okay.
And I can show you an example, actually. If you, in your resource, it says resource, jitter.accounts.user, add like a do block in there.
Yeah.
Yep. So like after, it's like resource do, or resource on the.
Oh, you mean I'll use it here like this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can say, if we look back at your user resource, like you have some actions available.
Actions.
Let's find a good
one.
Get by email.
Get by email.
Get by email.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so go back to your domain, your accounts domain, and now say define, and the atom is call it like get user by email, and then add an option called args. So it's like a keyword list. Yep. No, just like first argument's an atom, second argument's a keyword list. Yep. So then you can say args. Yep. And then say it's a list.
Yep.
And you'll say email. And then you'll say separate from args. Now you're going to say that the action is get by email.
Action, get by email.
Yep.
Okay.
So now if you open up like IEX, for example.
Yeah.
You can say
accounts get user by email.
Yep. And then you can pass in your
not found. Well, I guess the user wasn't created.
So this is actually interesting. See that where false? Yeah. So that's the policies. That's the policies kicking in.
Okay.
So above, right? So that's the rules of in the user resource. If you go look at the policies in user
policy, Postgres strategies token. Here, policies. Right.
Yep. So there's a bypass that allows Ash Authentication to do what it's going to do. Mm-hmm. And then otherwise a policy that says forbid if always. So that applies even by default to like your attempt to use it in IEX, right? So we're like secure by default.
Okay.
So if you go back to IEX and you do it again, but pass an option to the function. So after the email, you then say authorize ? Because it's a Boolean, authorize false. You can bypass it like as a developer, nobody, external users can't do it. But by default, authorization is always applied.
Ah, that's smart. Interesting. Oh, but you also even have your own Postgres types here, like a CI text string.
Yeah, that's used because there's design reasons for a lot of those things.
Yeah, but I mean, is that does it work the same as a bit string, as a binary?
No, it doesn't.
Interesting.
We preserve all of our value types.
Yeah, I can't do these.
So you would have to, but you would say dot string to get the string out of it.
Like this?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But the reason for that is you're actually throwing away information. Like, let's say you fetch a user email from the database and then you pass it into an equals in a SQL query later.
Yeah.
Like Postgres knows in the context of a Postgres query. Well, you would do I don't know how deep we want to get in here, but you don't use equals in there. I'm saying, but Postgres can tell the difference between a CI string, the CI text, and a regular string inside of a query. But once you load it up into Elixir and it's just a string, and then you run a different query with that value, it's not a case insensitive string anymore. You have to remember it.
Right.
And so Ash remembers it for you. So if you say the email out and then you say, give me the report that is for the user with this email, and the email and report is not case sensitive.
Right.
Or it's not case insensitive, right? But because it's a CI string you pass in, we know to use case insensitive string checking.
Oh, okay. So how would I compare this CI string with another string?
There's a couple different ways. I'll show you the cool one. Do import ash.expert.
Expert.
EXPR.
XP.
It's a
expression.
Yeah,
okay.
It's short for expression. Yeah.
Okay.
So then you can say you have a function called a macro called expert EXPR.
Yeah.
And then you can say like pin. Use the user.email equals test@test.com. So that gives you, that's an expression that you have now. So you can assign it. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Okay. Compare. All right.
And then you can say ash.expert, or actually you already have it. Just say eval.
Eval compare.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. True. Interesting.
So you don't almost ever have to do this sort of thing manually, but
yeah,
the point is that like it's all sort of like a unified system.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, but I mean, in your application code, you might want to like compare some values, but okay, probably rather in queries, like you explained, and then
there's different ways you would do it that solve all that for you, like like using expressions and calculations and all sorts of stuff. Like you've seen like. Right. You're got a toe in the pond, but there's a lot more to it.
All right, interesting. All right, yeah, I think we spent enough time on like diving very deeply into this. But okay, I just wanted to see. All right, we have attributes here on the resource, which is a primary ID. Yeah, we didn't.
We didn't do.
It
doesn't do UUID v7. You can just change it. You can say UUID v7 primary key. It's compatible with any existing IDs.
Like this. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So if I load my user again, what was it?
You have to recompile too, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, true. I had it somewhere.
It will make some changes when you run CodeGen again as well to change the default value for that field.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because I mean, this is not a version 7 UUID, right? I think so.
I don't know what I think it does. Does it appear differently? It's every V7 UUID is a valid V4 UUID, as far as I know.
Okay, interesting. I don't know. Anyway, but that's for another day. But that's interesting. I mean, now when we create our tweets, then we want to use V7 UUID. So, all right. Maybe just a little question, like how do you query stuff? Like how would I find all the users that I don't know haven't we don't really have a query yet, but how would I list all the users, for example?
Right. So if you look at your actions, let's just try it. Just say ash.read.
Ash.read.
Yeah, use like exclamation point version of it. All of our functions have exclamation point versions that will raise errors instead. And then just pass in jitter.accounts.user.
I get a.
So you're gonna get
read. Okay.
It says no primary action and no action specified. So what that's telling you is like resources can have a concept of a primary action, and that primary action is like what's used, and that's typically what you would do for like a general querying tool if you want to be able to just query users in some way. So what you can do is if you go to the top of your we'll do it here, and you just say defaults and pass in a list and put in the atom read. So it's the default is a macro, like no colon there.
Okay, so like this.
Exactly, yeah. And now if you recompile.
All right. Yeah, we're at full still, so I need to authorize.
Yep.
Does this work? Yeah. Okay.
Yep. This is actually a great example. This is a good time to show you this, right? So
yeah.
Well, first let me just show you the querying, right? So now we have our own querying interface. It's data layer agnostic and all this sort of stuff. So say, do jitter.accounts.user, and you'll pipe that into like ash.query.filter, and then, email equals, this is an expression as well. So it's like how ecto, it's like a macro. So you'd say, put it in parens.
Yeah.
And then you can say email equals, and then, put in a value. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm going to make this like capitalized like this.
Yep. Yeah. And then pipe that into ash.read. And you have to require ash.query because ash.query.filter is a macro.
All right. Yeah. And authorize again. False. All right. Okay.
Yep. So now here's a good example of this. You're eventually going to want to allow users to read their own user record, right?
Yeah. Right.
So let's actually go in and write that policy.
In here somewhere, that policy. All right.
Yep. So add a policy called policy. You'll use a function called action type.
Action type like this.
Yep. And then the one argument will be read, because like, so if they're doing a read, like the, yep. And then you can say authorize if.
Authorize if.
Yep. And I think if you give it a second, you might actually be getting autocomplete from we have a special language server extension. Are you using Elixir LS or are you using?
I use Elixir LS, but it barely works. Actually, I think I use Lexical. I use all of them.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
So
Elixir LS has gotten a lot better, but we have Elixir LS specific plugin that actually gives you special autocomplete in resources. Anyway, so authorize if, and then do an expression, EXPR, like we did before.
Okay.
And then say email equals, and then you're going to use the pin operator and call a one-arg function called actor.
Actor.
Yep. And then that, like the Atom email.
Like this?
Right.
Okay.
Yep. So the policy is saying if, you're allowed to read a user if the email of the user equals your email.
Okay.
Probably what you would actually use is ID. Sorry, not email. You should use ID.
True.
Because,
yeah.
All right. So now what you need to do is change that policy always at the bottom. Because the way that policies work, and we don't have time to go all the way into it, but all policies that apply have to pass. So that right there prevents anything from happening. So change that to action type.
The always.
Yep. Change the always to action type, and then pass in a list, which is, and the list will be create, update, destroy, for example.
Create, update, destroy.
Yeah. And it's fine, actually. Yeah. So there you go. You can actually just delete the last policy. You don't need it, because if no policy applies to a request, then it won't be allowed to happen.
Okay.
So.
All right. So in this situation, I would have, for example, read and update.
Yeah.
Like this way, a user can update and read their own user.
Yeah. And you might have like specially named actions. And so you might actually switch on a specific action, like update password might be a specific action that you allow instead of using action type, like that sort of thing. Like it's a very rich set of tools you have.
And the action would be, for example, request magic link.
Yeah.
So that would be here instead.
Yeah. Well, you could add like another policy. You can have as many policies as you want. And so you could have like, a policy for requesting, you'd say action is request magic link. So action. Yeah.
Like this?
Yeah, exactly. And then you could say like authorize if always, to say like anybody can request a magic link. Like you don't have to do this because that bypass at the top lets Ash Authentication do it.
Right.
But that would be a way to do.
Okay. Simple check. Yeah, this one already has a couple of checks here. All right. Now, let's not dive into that. All right, cool. All right. Yeah, so I understand now. We have attributes on the resource. We have policies for accessing the resource. Identities. So that is a unique email. Okay. What is the identity here? Can I have multiple identities? I guess so, right?
Yeah, you can have a bunch, and those will be created as unique constraints in the database, and then also used for various things. Like that allows you to use an email to look it up with ash.get and just other stuff like that.
Okay. So we got policies, we got actions, and actions are the CRUD actions we can take on this resource, but also other stuff. Yeah,
so that's really important. Actually, you hit on the nail on the head about actions being the CRUD actions. This is one of the biggest things we want to disambiguate for people. Like we have create, read, update, and destroy actions. Those are like templates, or like they're types of actions, right? But that right there, what you're looking at, that's just an action. It's an action that takes some arguments and does some stuff. It's like a typed interface to some domain logic.
Okay.
And so requesting a magic link, for example, is not an update action. It's not a read. It's like just it's an action, right?
Yeah.
And you can, what's cool about all of the tooling in Ash like works with we call these generic actions as well. So you could put that up in a GraphQL with like one line of code, and we figure out all the types from all the stuff and the return values and everything, from that. So it's CRUD is, it's not, there's nothing wrong with using the word CRUD, but people have often used it, I think, to like sort of typecast what they think Ash framework is.
Yeah.
And because of bad communication for me early on when I made the framework, like I get that, but
okay. But I mean,
yeah.
in principle, this is like quote unquote just a function, right? Like it could be a def, and we would call this like request magic link. I mean, this doesn't work in Ash right now, but like just the comparison to Elixir would just be that, you know, this will be my function, and like you also do a lot of checking here, you know. So for example, if this one was like nil, then I would actually return like an error or something, you know.
It ends up with the same type of thing, but what's really important is the thing that we push with Ash is like your application is represented as data.
Yeah.
Not so we don't actually there is no function generated called request magic link.
Yeah.
Like with that thing. But it is very similar, like the way you would use it. But to show you what I mean, if you go to IEX and you can say ash.resource.info .action.
Oh wait.
No, it'll be info.action. The function is action. Yeah. And then pass in, you know, jitter.accounts.user, and then pass in the Atom request magic link. Right. So this is how everything in Ash works, right? Your resource is just a data structure. I kind of joke sometimes that it's like Elixir flavored YAML. Like it's just a data structure. It really doesn't do very much on its own. But then when you say there's ash.run action, you give it a resource and an action name, and we go look up the instructions and we do what it says.
Right.
And that's like how the whole thing works. And that's why all of our extensions work, is because they are running, everything's looking at the same data structure and just following the rules.
Okay. I mean, when I tried Ash earlier, like without the guidance of the Zach Daniel, I kind of struggled a little bit because I didn't see any functions anywhere. Like I didn't know, like, do you have an escape hatch that if I wanted to write a function here, like, could I? Probably not, right?
Well, you could define a function, but I would suggest like that action right there, right?
Yeah.
So if you click into that run module, you can.
Yeah.
You can click into it, right? This run module, like that is a really thin wrapper over a function. A generic action is. Right. Yeah. So you can then write whatever you want. Your job is to just return what the action is supposed to return.
Right.
And that's your thin wrapper, but like we do all of the typecasting and policy logic, and everything is enforced like across all of the various interfaces. And so, it's like you don't define your business logic by writing a bunch of functions. And my like hot take is that that's a really shitty way to define all of your business logic, in my opinion. Like functions are not the magic composition tool that a lot of functional programmers would suggest that they are. Like a function is like a black box with you typically cannot introspect it. You can't ask a function, what does it take? You don't have type classes for types of functions. We don't have any way to introspect metadata about functions, all this sort of stuff, at least not in Elixir, right? But with Ash, for example, when you know something is a read action, anything can understand how to call it and build an interface for it. So like, here's a good example. Try this. Do okay, we don't have an installer for this, but do mxigniter.install ash admin. And then you're going to have to go to the ash admin docs to actually look up how to add this to your app. Because all it's going to do is add that.
All right. Getting started. All right, we added it. We gotta ensure your domains are configured.
You already have that, yeah.
Yeah.
The generators do all that for you.
Add on here. Okay. Yeah, these are the domains. Yeah. Add the domain extension to each domain. We did that. Did we?
You didn't
no,
do
we
that
did
one.
not.
That's the
Yeah, we do have the domain, but not the extension. So this will be.
It'll go in the domain module, not the resource module.
Right. So you use domain and then extensions. This one.
Yep.
Okay. And also admin show true.
Mm-hmm.
We need this too, right? So here. Okay.
Is that required? I don't know.
I don't know.
Might as well have it. Yeah.
Yeah. All resources will automatically be included in the Ash admin. To configure a resource, use the Ash admin resource extension. So we do need to go to the user.
Yeah, just for the users, you would do this.
Yeah, and add it here. All right.
And then do that block as well, that admin do block.
Admin. Right, and this here. Ooh.
Yeah, that was the formatter sorting your sections.
Oh, I see. Okay. Interesting. Also that it doesn't do it by, how do you call, just by letters. It has some logic.
It's in your config file actually. Like we just set up a default for you, but you can decide what order you like your sections to be in or something.
Cool. Right, and this actually tells this resource this actor is allowed to access the resource, right? Like.
Yeah, it says this resource is something you could like that might be a user of my system in some way.
Right. Oh, okay.
And you'll see where that comes into play.
Okay, I see. All right, then we go to the router, and we have to import the Ash admin router. So I'm gonna do that, and then we create the new pipeline.
You don't have to do that. You already have a browser pipeline.
Right.
That's only that's for apps that don't have that for whatever reason.
That says it here. Okay, sorry. Yeah. So we do the Ash admin and just over live session. Just here, I would say. Okay.
Cool.
Let's see.
I think that should be everything to get it running. Yeah.
Nah. I already have it running.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Now
is that gonna work because you added a dependency?
Let's see. I mean, I got to admin.
Yeah, it's fine.
No.
Yes, I think you got it.
It's not. Okay, let's do this again.
Oh, this is a classic one. This is if you go to your router module, it's because of the jitter web prefix. Yeah. So just make a different scope, make another scope for it so that it doesn't have the prefix. I got to fix that. People hit that pretty often. I just forgot to go to it.
All right. Okay, cool. Now we have our admin here.
Right. So you can actually see.
I'm not sure why, but it's just refreshing 100 times.
Is there something crashing on your?
Yeah. Wait.
It is your. Okay. You do need to do like there's like CSRF.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Ensure that the configuration is there. Check and forgery. All
right, so that is in I think the admin guide does have that, the getting started guide. I just didn't think you'd have to set it up.
Yeah.
But
the content security policy, if your app specifies a content security policy, do we have this? Wait. Is it somewhere?
I think it might be in the endpoint or wait.
Yeah, I'm in the endpoint, or maybe in the router.
Right.
Here, put secure browser headers.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Interesting.
So I think you can configure that with the configuration we give you.
Yeah. To avoid this, you can add the default admin rounds. Right. Behind the here. So this adds the default nonce admin self. Okay. And alternatively, you can supply your own nonce to the Ash admin route by setting a. I'm okay with this, I guess.
Yeah, it should be fine.
Let's try again. And it does the same thing again. Why? Maybe I just restart.
Oh, restart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because to pick up the new. Well.
Although it's on the router, right? So usually it's. No.
Oh, it's.
Do we need to add it in the app.js too?
I don't know. I don't think I've really seen this
What's happening
problem.
here?
Maybe I should look and see.
Live view session was misconfigured or the user token is outdated. Ensure your session configuration. Yeah, the configuration is in the module attribute. I mean, we have that. Change the plug session to use set attribute. Plug session. Here's session options. Where's my session options? Is using it. Also pass a session option to your live view socket. We do that, I think.
Oh, we forgot the pipe through browser.
Oh, do we?
According to
you're right.
It's a chat.
Right. Because we created a new scope. Makes sense.
Hey, it's right there. Oh no, but it's in it's a
this one. There you go.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
There you go.
Okay.
That makes sense. There we go.
And admin.
Oh yeah, I think our example might have been bad. I don't did they change how that works? I'm not sure. But you can probably leave out. You can just leave out the CSP stuff because you don't have a content security policy in there currently.
Right. Yeah, we just missed that. We just missed that pipeline.
Yeah.
Makes sense. All right. Okay. Now
yay.
Everything works. Yay.
Cool. Okay. So what I was trying to get at is like because it's all data.
Yeah.
Like you can if you go to the drop down and select like users.
Yeah.
And you go to like read. Yeah.
These actions.
Yeah. So like you have like there's an admin dashboard like automatically. It's not hooked up to your database, right? It's using your actions, like the rules of your app as they're actually set out that your users actually use. Right. So if you wanted to like request a magic link for a user, like they're like, hey, I can't, like you can go in there, you can fill it an email. This looks really ugly, by the way, but
success.
Anyway, yeah,
it's an admin dashboard.
But if you look,
all right,
yeah, exactly. But so you can use any resource and any resource action in any combination, or not any combination, but like regardless of its interface.
Yeah.
And we have all these types like unions and maps and embedded resources, and we have a little plus and minus buttons for lists of things and all this sort of stuff. It all just automatically happens because it's data driven.
Right.
And the question I feel like this is where I try to sell the value prop for something like Ash is like, do that for a Phoenix context.
Right. Yeah. That's not easy.
It's not possible.
I mean, I use the Cafe. Not sure.
Yeah. But that connects directly to your database, right? It goes through the Ecto repo. It goes to the Ecto
yeah, it uses the Ecto repo, but you give it the resources it should fetch. And then you can also define a couple of actions it should be offering and forms it should offer. But yeah, it's much more like you have to write not terribly a lot of code, but it's not easy either. Like,
I mean, look, my concern isn't so much with how much code you have to write. I don't want an admin dashboard connecting directly to my schema. Like a schema is a representation of data in a database. An admin dashboard is a representation of things that users can do.
Yeah.
And at no point should a thing a user can do be directly hooked up to a thing that happens in my database. Like the whole point is that there's an application layer that's determining all these things, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so, and a good example here too is like, if you had a database or a data resource using an Ash CSV, for example, or had manual actions that don't have anything to do with the data layer, all that stuff still works.
Yeah.
So like that separation is actually like in the simple example, not super powerful because you're like, I could do this with Cafe, but when you actually start to build what you're doing and have like resource actions that call external APIs and blah, 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 all that sort of stuff, all of a sudden it's like, oh, holy shit. You have like a list GitHub actions action on your user resource that returns a list of structs that are like the GitHub issues open for that user. And then you go into your admin and it just works.
Yeah.
There's no like,
yeah, you don't actually try the same thing that the user is trying. Like you use different functions, like to list something, for example. But yeah, if you have the same action as the user in this case, like if you get the same response, you will always get the same response as the user does. So that's useful.
And you can take the action as them, like that little user up in the top right.
Yeah.
Like if you were to create another user and then run this and like go to this page with that user active, you would only see themselves because they're the only user that they can see.
Interesting. That's so. Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I only have one user now anyway.
You have to go
so-
make another user. Yeah.
Yeah. Create, get by subject. I also create here. All right. Yeah, but it's cool. I mean, yeah, if you want to define an action that a user can use, out of a sudden you can also use it in the admin panel, just like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
And that's the same way all that other stuff gets really easy. Like the yeah, make Ash admin beautiful. Agreed.
But I don't mind. I mean, it's an Ash admin. It's an Ash panel thing. Like
Yeah.
it's fine. It works. I have buttons I can click.
Yeah.
Cool.
But that's how GraphQL works too, right? Like if you wanted to make that an action in GraphQL, it's like literally one line of code.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not like an exaggeration. Just the initial installation setup that you set up of like that's with an installer.
True.
And then one line of code to put an action in GraphQL, and it automatically knows how to do it.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, I like this. Yeah. Okay. Well, we were here to build a Twitter clone. We have done everything except building a Twitter clone.
Correct.
So how about we just do a speed run? No distractions anymore. I'm gonna shut up as well with my pesky questions all the time about action stuff. So okay,
yeah, let's do it.
Let's do this. So what we need is obviously a new resource for creating the tweets, right? I'm just gonna stop this. So that would be mix ash codegen. No, you gotta help me. Gen resource.
Gen.resource. Yep.
Right, and I'm gonna do the help. So what we need is gen resource, and then we also have to provide the domain. And default actions is read. The primary key we wanted to have u7. Actually, the ID for the user is also, well, yeah, I think it's also a v7 here. Actually, like it says it, so at least in the type. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. You have to run codegen mixash.codegen update user UUID or something because you changed it.
Oh right. Codegen dot, not just like this, right?
Yep.
Update user ID.
You have a mix help in the front.
Right. E7. Let's see. It actually created something. Modify fragment.
It's updating the default
from random UID. Cool. All right. Okay. No more questions. Just coding. Ash gen resource. So what I want is shitter and then tweets, I guess. I'm gonna call it like that. So that's
the classic.
Yeah. That will give me the resource, and then default actions. These can be default actions. Where is it? Attribute default actions. A CSV list. Interesting.
Yeah, it's comma separated, so you can have like multiple.
Oh yeah, okay. I never thought about it in that context. The CSV file is for me a file. That makes sense.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
But you're right. A list of default actions to add, for example, read and create. The read and update actions except the public attribute. Yeah, we want to read and create. That's what we want. So cool. Default actions, read and create. Okay. Next up, the UUID primary key should be v7. So this one, and then just ID. We want attribute, subject string, required public. Yeah, so we want attribute. So we want just text or content. That's a string. Is there a difference between string and text?
No, all strings are text in Ash.
And this is required and public.
Yep.
Good. Well, timestamps. Yeah, we want to have the timestamps. What else do we have? Just the content for now, right? And the relationship.
Yeah. Yep, the relationship.
So we do relationship. And now we need to define belongs to author, my app account's author, and it's required. Okay, so we do belongs to just user. I'm gonna call it just user. And required. Like this. Yeah. All right. What else? Timestamps. Yeah. Let's not forget about the timestamps.
And then you'll want to -- extend with Postgres.
Postgres. Extend. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I think that's about it, right? Integer, yeah, v7, default actions, relationship, attribute, yeah.
Yep.
Enter. And also you have always shortcuts for that, so -t, -b, -e, so that's cool. Yeah. All right, so let's see. We have a new Ash domain, the tweets domain. We have a new, yeah, that's the domain. Then we have a new resource that has this domain and the data layer Postgres. That makes sense. It has default actions, read and create. v7 primary key. The content, allow nil false, public true. Public true, does it mean like any user can see this, can query this, or?
No, so public true, it doesn't matter nearly as much if you're building like a live view app.
Okay.
But the general concept is private to the resource. So you might have hashed password as like private to the resource, and you'll never display that across an interface ever.
Okay.
And public means like this might be visible to the outside world in any way. But you can lock it down more granularly and do all this sort of stuff like public true. Yeah.
What happens to content if I would make it private? Would it just be redacted or?
In the context of live view, really nothing.
Okay, doesn't do anything.
It would just still be there in content, because as a developer, it might be like private, but you might have to use it for something. Like we don't strip it from the resource automatically. But there's a thing called field policies, and if you start writing field policies, they're like field level visibility of individual things. Then public private matters even in the context of live view, but you don't need to worry about it too much.
All right, I don't worry about it. Cool. Yeah, we got the thing. Proceed with changes. Yes, and let's commit. Add tweets. Cool. All right.
So yeah, your next step is this is old, and sometimes I think doesn't do exactly what we want, and we're gonna rewrite it with Igniter. But we do have, you need Ash Phoenix. So mix-igniter.install Ash Phoenix. There's no installer for this one. It's just a package that you need.
Okay. And yeah, it has no installer task. All right.
So now you can say mix ashphoenix.gen.liveview or mix ashphoenix.gen.live.
Yeah.
And let me double check what it expects you to give it. Okay, so the first thing is going to be the domain. So this is why it's old. It's like we actually can get that from the resource now. This is from 2.0 when we couldn't. Right. But then the resource.
Okay.
You need the whole thing, jitter.tweets.tweet. And then, just run it from there. It's going to ask you some questions.
Please provide a plural name for tweet, for example. The plural of tweet is tweets. Interesting. Is that did that make it because of my name here?
I don't know. Do we pluralize? Maybe we do pluralize, but in the future versions, we're just going to figure out the plural for it.
Right. Okay. No, but it gave me this example, so I'm like, is that actually related to my resource name?
I don't know. Oh, I think I actually know. You're right. That's all it is.
Yeah. It's just an S.
Yeah.
Wow.
It just happens. I think it's a hard-coded example. For example, the plural of tweet is tweets.
Oh, really? String. Oh, we have the resource for it.
Generating tweets. Yeah.
Okay, that's funny. All right, yeah. Well, in this case, actually, it works. So plural name tweets. Yeah. No,
but it's not gonna. It's not guessing that for you.
Okay, let's do it
again. You
have
to still do it.
Tweets. Yeah. Would you like to name your actor, for example, current user? If you chose no, we will not add any actor logic. I would like to add that.
Yep.
Yes. Would you like to name it default current user? No, just enter. Well,
just enter.
Yeah. Primary update action not found and an update action not supplied. Would you like to create one? Didn't we have a default action?
You have a default create action, but not an update action. So it's gonna not do like an update form in the generated live view because there is no update action.
But we do have no update. Did we forget that? I thought I gave that. Didn't I? No, we don't have an update. No, sorry, my fault.
Right. Yeah.
Good. Okay.
So you can just say no probably to that.
Yeah. Would you like to provide an update? No. No. Oops.
Oh shit.
Oops. Arguments
I
are
think this
fun
is a
now.
bug.
Let's see, where is it happening? Somewhere in live.
Oh man.
That's all right.
What line is it?
340. Live.ex.
Def inputs action dot arguments nil. How does? Oh man. Go ahead and just try adding an update action in that defaults, just in case that's somehow related to it.
Okay.
So well, it won't add it for you. You have to add it and then rerun the installer. So go.
Oh, I see.
Update. Yeah, go to that and then add, update content or something like that, because that might be the problem.
Okay.
Again, I want to revisit this and make it nicer soon.
Okay. Tweets. Would you like to? Yes. It's okay. Primary action could not found, and a destroy action was applied. Would you like to create a destroy action? No.
Let's just say no.
No.
Let's see.
Okay, that worked.
Okay, cool. So that was the bug. I'll fix that after this.
No problem. Okay. Yeah, we need to add these routes and authenticated routes. Well, we're gonna put the tweet list and new. Well, we don't want to have an edit, but tweet new is gonna be in the authenticated routes.
You can put them all in the authenticated routes, and then you can use user required and user optional, like in the live view itself. To like authenticated routes just means that authentication happens. It doesn't necessarily mean that there is an actual user or that sort of thing.
Okay, I see. Yeah. So then we add them all here.
Yeah.
And then if an authenticated user may be present, live user optional. If an authenticator must be present, live must not be present. So yeah, this is what we add to our live view. Your live user required, optional, or no user. Okay, so it'll be optional. All right. And it created the index form component and show. So in here we would need to
honestly, yeah, you know what I worry too? I'm not sure. Is this compatible with the Phoenix release candidate? I actually have no idea. We're gonna find out.
We will, yeah. Because on mount, I mean, this is the live view on mount function, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Nothing.
That'll be compatible, but I don't know if the stuff we do in the view is like, I don't know. They change core components and that messes with this. We'll see.
Let's see. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we have some stuff here. The live component for the form. And yeah, we have a stream for Ash read tweet, and then actor is the current user. All right. Yeah, so cool. Here we could actually limit the tweets to only the actor's tweets if we wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Assign new. Nil. All right. Okay. Edit new. Yeah, I'm just gonna disable the edit thing here. But yeah, this is pretty much live view. I understand this. Cool.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, nothing really changes much about how you use Phoenix above the context layer.
Right.
Like the context layer that's where Ash is about. It's about the application layer.
Right.
But UI, how you build Phoenix applications, I mean, not for APIs, but how you build user interfaces is still entirely run-of-the-mill Phoenix.
Right. Makes sense. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, what like the entry point, or how you say the point where live view connects to Ash is literally just here, like Ash read, tweet, and the actor. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Let's see. Oh, we have our router set up. Tweets, new and ID. We got this. So yeah, let's run this thing. Let's see whether it works. And we have to run our migrations. Did that run our migrations for the tweet?
No, you didn't need mixash.code gen.
I need to name it as well. Add tweets. And migrate. All right, let's do this again.
It doesn't like something about the edit routes or something, but.
All right.
Did it blow up?
Yeah. Okay. New tweet. Hello world. Save tweet. Nothing happening here. It's an error. No.
Yeah, so it is an error.
Okay.
It's not showing because this is kind of interesting. It's not showing because there's no field for this error that is occurring that's in the thing. So I'll show you how you would like debug this as a developer, right?
Yeah.
So you would go into, well, I mean, as a developer, obviously. Anyway, go into the form component.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably
where
the
it's
user ID,
submitting,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Submit forms. Yeah, there you go.
Right. So in that error case, ashphoenix.form is a little bit different than what you'd be used to, but in that error case, you're getting back a form that just gets reassigned. So in here, there's a function called ashphoenix.form.errors that you could like inspect the errors on the, yep. And then, so you'll pass in the form and then an option, you're going to say for path. So _path. And then it's going to be the atom all. So that's giving me all of, because you can have nested forms in Ash. So this is like, give me all of the errors on all of the forms inside of the thing or inside of this form.
Okay. And that's,
so now if you were to submit that, you should see an error.
yeah, users required. Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, however, if what you're thinking about doing, or not what you're thinking about doing, actually, how would you fix that? How would you?
I would add the user ID to the params.
Okay, definitely not the right way to do it.
Okay.
So there's a couple reasons for that. I mean, the number one reason though is like user could go into the form and submit user ID, right? And your thing would overwrite it.
Yes.
Right, it would overwrite it, but you're only one deleted line of code away. You know what I mean? From somebody being able to create a tweet for any user.
Right.
So it's, I want to say definitely not the right way to do it. It's, you have to understand the ramifications of that sort of thing. But the way we would do it in Ash is different. So go to your tweet resource.
Yeah.
And so everything, like our business logic, all that stuff lives in actions.
Right.
So that create default, so remove that create from that keyword. We're going to actually define our own create action. So, and say create, it should be create, the word is create since it's a create action. And then the name of it will be create for now.
Like this?
Yep. And then a do block. Okay. And so set primary true. Primary question mark true. It's a Mac, it's like a builder. So it's like,
okay.
No colon. Right. And then set an accept list. So like ACCEPT accept. And that'll be content, like that content attribute that we had for update. And now you're going to, like, this is the thing that you extend to change what happens when a tweet gets created.
Okay.
Right? So if you're familiar, I know you are familiar with like plug, right? So an Ash action is like a plug as well. You have all these builders that you can use. So for a create action, for create, update, and destroy, that's, we'd call those a change. So you would say, make another option in here called change.
Like this?
And then, and then there's a built-in change called relate actor. So it's a function, relate actor.
Like this?
It's a function. It's a one arg function called relate actor. And then the argument is the name of the relationship you want to relate the actor to. So it'd be like
user.
We call it user.
Yeah. User. Okay.
Yep. So because like you have all the context, we know what user is doing this, right? Like it's up to the action to decide, well, it's the user who created this that is the user on this tweet, that sort of thing. So this is like taking that logic from that shouldn't be in the view and putting it into the domain layer.
Okay. All right.
Cool. So now it should work.
Yeah. Let's try that again. Yeah, that worked. All right. It inserted a tweet, ID, content, timestamps, and the user ID. All right. Cool. And nice. Let's do another one. All right. All right. So let me ask you another couple of questions. I mean, first of all, we can also just update this one. and remove the ID content. Yeah. Oh, we don't want the edit one. So this one can also go. All right, wonderful. Now we have our tweets here as a timeline. All right, so how would I, like, a couple of things. How would I, first of all, preload the user on in this query? Because I might want to preload the user to show the username and the icon, the logo, for example.
Yes. So the way you would do that is add the, so data loading in Ash is it's called load. We call it loading data. You can load all sorts of things.
Okay.
To load a relationship, you would pass in a load option. This is one way. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but this is one way to do it. And then pass in like user.
Like this?
Yep.
Okay. So, and then in here, the tweet, I could do user.email, for example. All right. Okay. Yeah, that worked. Nice.
So what's really interesting now, though, go ahead and open up the page, or open up a new browser window, like sign up as a new user and stuff like that. You'll see kind of why that's not necessarily the approach you want to take, or well, it could be, but you'll see.
So sign. Oh, something happened there. I did sign. Did I do sign in? Sign in.
Well, did you open is that an incognito window?
Probably not. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, it's like logging you in automatically.
Right. Close sign in. Right on. Okay. So test 2. And I request a magic link. Did I get that? I did get that. Okay. I sign in and I got the tweets.
Right. So that user can't see the other user.
Right.
So when the policies were applied, like this is one of those things where it's like, it can be a little inconvenient, but it's the right kind of inconvenience. It's like you know, your rules say that person can't see that user.
Right.
So let's say there's 2 ways to go about this. Like you could say, well, anybody can see any user, right?
Right.
But there's a better way to do this. In your tweet resource, go to we're going to add a new block to this called calculations.
Okay.
Yep. And then we're going to say calculate, and we'll call it, user email. And that you're going to give it a type. So the type it's a 3-arg thing. So the type is string. And then the third argument is the calculation. We're going to use an expression calculation. So use expr to create your function, or to create your expression.
Yep.
And then say user.email.
Just like this.
So now,
yep.
Yeah. Now in your view, you'll have to load user email, because the calculations don't come by default.
So instead of user, I do user email.
Right, exactly.
And
so now if you both, right. So you've defined that, like, part of viewing a tweet is seeing the user email. Oh yeah, you have to load that when you, like, there's a thing that when you create one, there's somewhere in your live view where you like refetch the thing, and you have to also load user email.
Things saved here, yeah. Stream insert tweet.
Yeah, so you can, in this case, you can say ash.load on the tweet if you want.
Like this?
Yeah, use an exclamation point to yeah.
And then here I would do load?
It's just the load statement. So just like user email. Yeah.
This.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's try this
And
again.
you could also do it like in your form after you create it. You could do it in your form, or you can even load it while you create it. Like you can tell it change set, load this data when you come back. So, but this works for now.
All right. So that worked actually. Yeah, here. Okay. What else? Yeah, PubSub, right? I mean, we need PubSub here so that people immediately see my tweets.
Yep. Okay.
And
so in tweet.
Yeah. We would can we add that to the resource?
Yep.
Cool. All right.
So there's an extension called ash.notifier.pubsub. So that'll go in your extensions list.
First, okay. Well, extensions, and then was it ash dot?
Ash.notifier.pubsub with capital P, capital S. Yeah, exactly. That's just your language server being weird.
Yeah.
All right. So add the pubsub block.
That would be, okay. So somewhere here, pubsub like this.
Yep. And I actually need to improve. I remember I found a little bit of confusion or like a thing that's missing in that pubsub guide. So good thing you have me here.
Okay.
Okay. So you're going to add a module, and that'll be, the module would be your endpoint in this case. So like,
dev module?
Oh no, sorry. It's the option is called module. Like where do I pubsub to?
Right.
So that'll be jitterweb.endpoint.
Right.
And then now we can give it a prefix called like, tweets or something. That's like a string. And now we can add our publication. So in here you would say, call it, we use publish all. So this is to publish all events of a given action type.
Okay.
And so the first argument will be create. And then the second one is a list. It's a list of strings, and we're not going to go into the format that's allowed here because you can do all sorts of things,
Okay.
But it just say like created for now. That's the only thing. Yeah.
All right. So this
is like, that colon list that you make for like pubsub events.
Yeah.
This is how you can build it up, and you can interpolate values in a way in there. So, but
like this.
Yeah. But we don't need it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And that's it.
Is it yelling at you about something?
So that means that whenever I create, like I run the create function here, it uses pubsub, and it basically broadcasts a message with the topic tweets created.
Yep, exactly. And it's pub_sub on line 13. That's why it's yelling at you.
Pub_sub, right. Makes sense. Yeah, now it works. All right. And
yeah.
so how do we subscribe to it?
So that'll so you've actually, the way you subscribe to it is this classic Phoenix pubsub subscribe. That works the same.
Okay. If connected Phoenix pubsub subscribe. It's probably a sudo. I was gonna look at the name. What is it? Shitter pubsub. And the topic would be tweets created.
Yep.
All right.
And then handle info. To start, I would just say like handle info to get the message and then inspect it so you can see like it's going to be shaped. It's one of our notification structs, that sort of thing.
Okay. So handler info, and what am I getting? The tweet.
It's a Phoenix pubsub. It's like the struct, I think, right?
Yeah.
Let me double check.
Because usually what I do when I broadcast something, because here in handle info, I don't know which broadcast actually called the handle info, right? So I would do like tweets, for example. And that way.
So what you get right now is you actually get a struct. You get a phoenix.socket.broadcast struct.
Is that so?
So like you'd pattern match on the struct itself, yeah. Phoenix.socket.broadcast.
Okay.
Yep. And so in there you have the topic, so you can match on the topic.
Mm-hmm. So tweets created.
Yeah, exactly. And percent minus and a percent at the beginning.
Right.
So then
payload.
You'll get the information created.
Oops.
That's all. Oh yeah. You want the ID so you can look the tweet up. So we should go change that in our publication. I knew something looked wrong with that.
Okay.
So the next item will be in that list will be the atom ID. So it'll be in that list. Yeah, exactly. So that's how you distinguish. You're like building up a message.
Mm-hmm.
The atoms are brought in from the resource that was just created or updated.
Okay.
The strings are like, literals.
Okay.
So now you can pattern match on the ID in the.
So here would be
Yeah.
Tweet ID.
Exactly. And then you can
Fetch it.
look up the tweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, because the broadcast here also has a payload. Would the payload also be the tweet, the struct?
The payload is an ash.notifier.notification. So it has like has a lot of information in it, actually, like the change set and all sorts of other things.
Okay.
Which I keep waiting for someone to ask me to. There's a thing I keep waiting for somebody to ask for, which is a tool to limit the amount of data that's actually sent, because it sends a lot right now, but nobody's asked, and I've been busy, so
okay. Okay, but because like, what the good thing about using broadcast with the payload that actually has a struct is that I don't need to fetch the tweet from the database in every client.
Correct. You can do that if you want. You can pull it out. In this case, it'll be in the notifier it'll be in the data field.
Right.
So like it'll be in payload, and then inside of payload data, and it'll be the tweet.
Let me just see this one in the broadcast. We didn't get the broadcast. Maybe a restart. Do we need to migrate something now that we added the pub set?
Did you it might have not recompiled from the resource. You don't need to migrate anything, but is it going to recompile something? I don't know.
I just restart, maybe. Yeah. All right, let's test
that should be all that you need, I think.
So it was created.
Did we could have done something wrong with like there's an option for this there's an option to debug pub/sub, so you can like so if you go to put in your like config, your dev.x's file,
oh yeah,
you can say config. Oh, good.
Sorry, no, I saw that here, right? It said something about that here. Debug
exactly.
true.
Yep. So that can help you find like, because it'll show you like what it published and
right. Somehow.
Oh, I sorry. This is my bad. This is my bad. This is for me not using the tools enough. It's not an extent. It is an extension, but go up to your list.
Yeah.
That goes in the key notifiers, not the key extent. So like change extensions : to notifiers : that's what tells it use these extensions to send things out into the world. So now it's gonna work.
Okay, let's try again. There was something. Yeah, and we debugged it as well. Here, okay, on the notification, broadcasting to topics. All right. And
so we didn't get it in the UI, did we?
Yeah, I didn't edit it. I just IO inspected the broadcast. Like we don't do anything here yet. Where is it? Here.
Well, oh yeah. But is it even doing the IO.inspect broadcast?
Yeah, it did. This one, right? I think.
Oh, is that it? No,
yeah.
I think that's.
No, that's your notification.
Yeah, I don't think you got it.
No, true.
Oh, right. Okay. I led you astray again. We don't want to publish the tweet ID in the created message.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't have.
How are you going to subscribe to that?
Yeah, true.
You weren't right. So yeah, let's go change our message, and then we'll get the ID out of the notification.
Here, yeah, makes sense. All right, and in here we have the notification. Wait. Yeah, I need to inspect the broadcast first. But we do have the notification. That's what you meant with all the data in here. And we have somewhere the domain action.
There'll be a key in there called data.
Metadata. Data.
It might, yeah, there you go. So it'll be payload.notification or payload.data, I think is where you would get the data from.
Okay, let's test this one. Data. Test 5. Yeah. That looks like a tweet. Good. All right. So yeah. So the tweet.
One sad thing is, as far as I know, these generators don't use streams.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's just assigning like a list of tweets, so you have to like
no,
reassign the whole list of tweets.
There's a stream here. stream insert.
Oh.
Yep.
All right, never mind. Cool.
The other problem here, of course, because then we need to remove this one again. Otherwise, we add it twice because we are also like kind of listening to our own broadcast. Like, sorry, that was confusing. When I write,
I don't think it'll matter because it deduplicates by ID, doesn't it?
Oh, that would be interesting. Yeah, let's try that. All right. So yeah, we just do a stream insert, and we also got the load thing. So I'm just gonna create a little insert tweet. We're gonna move all this here. Yeah. So handle info should go together.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Okay. And yeah, insert tweet, socket, and tweet. Oh, we can just payload data. And we don't need this. All right. Okay. Let's try this again. So also my second person here. No. Yeah, of course I can't. Oh, can we do append? I want to do insert tweet add.
Oh yeah, there's like a, I don't know what it's called, but let's see, stream insert.
No, add 0. I think that one. All right, let's try this again. So now tweet here, testing. Yeah, it worked.
Nice.
Both sides. Testing 2. There we go. Cool. Awesome.
So one of the things that's interesting, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure you see like there's a learning curve to all this stuff because Ash has like patterns for all these things.
Yeah.
But another kind of underlying theme is like there's a lot of stuff in the way that it works that protect you from doing things wrong.
Okay.
Or protect you from bugs. And to show you what I mean, if you go to like IEX, for example,
yeah.
If you, well, maybe it's not a good, I'll just tell you about it. It's easier than trying to replicate it. But one of the common things that happens that's wrong is let's say you have a context function that creates a tweet.
Yeah.
Right. And then something else, there's some other button like a create multi-tweet button where you can create a thread of tweets all in one go.
Right.
And then that tries to compose your create tweet function in your context, right? So it tries to call that 3 times in a row, which maybe is not the best way to do it in real life, but you want to do like a bulk insert or something, but it's neither here nor there. And so what it does is it starts a transaction and then it calls create tweet 3 times with each one of, once with each of your tweets, but they send out their pub sub notifications because your context function is in charge of when pub sub notifications go out, right? So it emits a pub sub notification, but the transaction's still open.
Right.
So the live view tries to load the user email.
Yeah, it's not there.
And actually that would probably work, but it tries to load something that hasn't been committed yet in the transaction. And it crashes. True. And this is a really common beginner, like like one step above beginner bug with live view apps is not realizing that you have to, notifications should only go out when, for the most part, when the transaction's complete.
Yeah.
And because Ash calls your actions, we actually, and starts transactions for you, like every update action, we manage your transaction, we do all this stuff for you. We gather up all the notifications until the transaction is complete, and then we send them.
Right.
So you can't do that wrong.
Interesting. So that's the magic that pops up does for me here. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty smart.
Like notifiers in general. So you can write a notifier to do this as well. It's just a module that has a notify function. But we gather up all of the notifications, and then when it's all done, we then call each notifier with all of the notifications to say emit something about something.
Right on.
So that's for like you wouldn't want to use that for something durable. Like you would use like if you had something where it's like this must go out, otherwise the world is over. Like then use an Oban job or something like that and commit it in the transaction. But for this sort of thing, or like a push notification that like your team scored, it's like
needs to go out immediately. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I never thought about that. I mean, I wrote everything by hand. So if I would write, like a multi-insert, I would actually have that. I wouldn't call the little create tweet thing. I would just do repo insert or something, and then but
well, here's what's okay. if I can nerd out one more time about
Yeah, sure.
That's a great example of the sort of thing you don't have to do if you're using Ash, because every action is set up to be done in bulk or not, right?
Nice.
So and I'll show you what I mean. This will actually just demo. So go to IX, like, find a user. You can do like ash.get, or actually use use ash.get. That's fine. Pass in the user resource, jitter.accounts.user. Okay. Capital U. Yep, and then a map, because you're going to get it by email. So you can say email is test at test, and you'll have to do authorize false. Yep. Yeah, you're a quick learner. Yeah, it's a string.
Oh damn it! Man,
quote,
okay, it's gonna break. Okay. Here we go. Okay, I got the user.
Okay, so now that's going to be the user that's going to do the thing. And so now say ash.bulk create.
One bulk create, I guess.
Yep. And the first argument is the input, so it'll be a list.
Okay.
And say, it'll be a list of maps. So like content, tweet 1. Content, then content tweet 2. And then the second argument will be the action name, so it'll just be create. Actually, I'm lying to you. Let me double check. I think it is the first or the second argument, I think, is the resource. I'm used to having like IntelliSense and stuff like ash def create. Yeah, okay, yeah, exactly. Then the action name, and then for the ops, pass the actor. Say actor is your user. So like this? Before you submit this, make your terminal halfway, right? All right, now submit it.
Block result.
Oh shit, sorry. Hit up and do it again and say notify true. So by default, bulk actions don't emit notifications because it could be like a massive thing.
Okay.
With a question mark, notify question mark true.
Yay, it did. Tweet 2, tweet 1. Yeah.
And what's cool, so if you look up to the insert statement that it did, somewhere in here. Yeah, it's like those are the live views reading the tweet.
Right. Where's the
all that sort
there should
of
be
stuff,
some green stuff somewhere. We also have the debug one. Okay, we got it.
There it is. So it did like a bulk insert, right? Single insert into tweets. But that change where you had relate actor, right? It that knows how to apply to like a list of things. So like you don't have to rewrite your actions to be able to do them in bulk or to do like CSV import. If you had like upload a CSV, call the same create action that runs your single things, and you can just ash.bulk create accepts a stream. So you can read a CSV file, stream it into your bulk create, and it uses all the same logic and rules. And your custom changes. So if you can, the same way you can define like a custom plug, you can define a custom change module that has a change callback, like plug has a plug callback or whatever.
Right.
You can also define batch operation callbacks. So how do I do this on a batch of things? And then that change can be like optimized for bulk. Okay. If you need to. And so like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. My question is like, how do you handle create like bulk update and bulk deletes? Because in like Postgres, you always need to, when you do bulk update, you need to kind of provide like a query basically.
Yeah, so that's how that works. Bulk update and bulk delete or in bulk destroy, take a query as the first argument instead of inputs, and then they take one update, like map of like what to do, and then that gets applied to everything in the query.
Right. Yeah. So if you, I mean, yeah, you can't. Well, actually, I learned something. There's like if you wanna, that's me nerding out because there is a way of actually. It's funny. So let's say you want to update 100 records, but each one of them has individual fields. Like they have not the same field. Like you don't just do a set something. You actually have 100 like maps that you want to update at once. There is a way, but there's a blog post, and what the guy did is super smart because he kind of uses the maps, the list of maps, and he joins that with another table, and then he inserts that table into your table.
So we want to build that into Ash Post or to Ash as we'll call it. So we have bulk update, And we want to have a version of that, maybe like bulk update each, where you give it a list of records, like a list of like a tuple of a record and the updates to apply. And then we'll do that for you. Cause that's like all of our stuff is like automatically does, you know, it writes the SQL for you. So it should be like really easy for us to actually do that.
Yeah.
There'll be some rules, you know, like each map has to have, well, it doesn't really have the columns that we select will have to be like the superset of all of them and stuff like that. But it won't be hard.
Yeah, exactly. But that was a pretty smart way. Yeah, but because everybody else, like, otherwise you always like limited by Postgres, right? Because you can only do like a set or increase or something like.
There are ways to do it. Like with bulk update, you can supply expressions that will do the update, and you can say if ID equals 1, then this, and if ID equals 2, then do this.
Right. But it needs to be one long query, right?
Yeah, it's one massive query. It's really ugly. It's impossible to read, and it's like not going to perform that well.
True. Ah man, I can't find the. There was a really nice blog post about it. Anyway, maybe I find it, then I will tweet about it later.
Yeah,
it's one of these things. Yeah. Anyway,
it's a good one though. Yeah, I know the one I know the strategy that you're talking about.
Yeah, right. It was so smart.
It's just a little bit less common, but
yeah, I know. I mean, you got to know about it. But I mean, if Ash like just takes care of it behind the scene, you know, then great.
Yeah,
like I don't need to.
And we might even do that by just if you supply a list
to
bulk update, then then we do. You know what I mean? We do that type of update, which would be actually very easy for us to detect. So, because you already can supply it. If you do a stream, we'll do like, let's say you want to update like 1 million things.
Yeah.
This is a common example of like, you can't use like ecto.repo.update all and pass in like a stream of 1 million objects or of 1 million things to do. Right. Yeah. Cause it's designed and it's very good. Ecto is like one of the biggest inspirations for me for like good software in general. Like I love Ecto.
Nice.
But it's designed to call SQL queries, right? Like one-to-one, right? And but what we do is if you pass a stream in, by default, the batch size for a bulk update is 500.
Okay.
So if you pass a stream in, we take 500 at a time and we apply an update all filtered by the IDs of those 500 things.
Okay.
So you could hook up like a massive data import to bulk update the same way that you would do a query or any other thing. And we'll do it like efficiently. A transaction, you can configure transaction per batch or transaction for the whole thing or max concurrency and all these different things. You can do all sorts of stuff like that.
Right.
And so that's kind of the benefit I see. Like, I almost feel like Ecto is like too good of a library, like because it tricked in a way. It's got everybody where their apps are just like views connected to databases and they don't realize that that's what they have.
Yeah.
Like, and it's hard to explain that like if you have a shifting layer, the application layer that is the line, you know, between data layers and app and web layers, like all of the cool stuff you can do is hard to explain.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, interesting though. But I mean, so in your situation with Ash, like you said you create multiple queries. No, you create one query for the 500 items, or how do you handle that?
It actually depends. We could do either one. There's 3 bulk update strategies.
Right.
There's stream, atomic stream, and atomic. I think. An atomic means do it all in one query.
Right.
And atomic stream means do it in batches of of individual queries.
Okay.
And stream means do it one by one.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And the way that it actually works is you can pass in all 3 of those and say, pick the best one that's possible for this action. So we can look at the action and we can say, this action has a change on it that doesn't have an atomic implementation, which means we cannot do it we have to look up the record because the action is expecting to receive a record. And this is how the API extensions work. So when you say when you do like an update action in GraphQL, we actually do a bulk update of the resource by that ID. And we say, use the best strategy available. And if the action supports, it can be done atomically in a single update statement without looking up the record, then no lookup happens. It's just an update where does the thing. And the policies are all applied in the query. So like, you know how you had that policy that said you can only update a record if it's you? Yeah. Or you can only see a user if it's you. That gets compiled into the update where statement of the update. So we can also do policies atomically or non-atomically, depending on what the policies say.
Right.
So when you're writing these like things that plug into resources, you can say use the best version of it, but otherwise use it. And so what happens is you get best case scenario is twice as fast as it would be. There's no lookup. There's just an update. But then you add some business logic that requires seeing the original record. And when it does its bulk update, it says, well, the best strategy I can do is stream. I have to look up the record and update, and you, like, to the developer, it's fully transparent. It would just, you get the best that your action can do.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, and as you said, like with the permission checking, I mean, you automatically would always add like where user ID equals this, for example, you know, based on the policy. Yeah, that's pretty smart.
Yeah, you don't have to do that. And we can even lower like validations. So like, actually, here's a good example. Let's try this. Go to your tweet resource,
right,
and add a validation on, we'll just put it in the create action for now.
In the create action here. Okay.
Yeah, you'll just say, put it like underneath the other stuff, or it doesn't actually matter where you put it, but say validate. I think it's just, is it length? Let me see, built in. This is all documented, you know, but built in changes, or built in validations length. Okay, it's string length is the function. Or just validate, kind of like how change is like validate, and then the function is called string length. And then the first thing will be the field, so content. And then you can say like min 10.
Right. Okay. Max, was it now 280, I believe? Yeah.
Something like that. You can put them in the same, you can just say min max.
Oh, right. Yeah.
In the
max
same
280.
One. Right. Actually, okay. Make this, we're not going to put it in that action. Make a validations block in the top level, because we're going to apply this on all actions. Yeah. Okay. And then put that validate in there, move it to there. Okay. So we have an update action as well. We're not exposing it in the interface, right? But in IEX, go ahead and fetch a single tweet.
Let's see.
Actually, don't even fetch a single tweet. Let's just do ash.bulk update. Yep. And then just put the resource here. So we're going to update all tweets. And then the action will be update. And then the map, put in content. It'll be like, yeah, exactly. Put in, I guess we need a string that is longer or shorter than our rules.
Yeah. So I actually made min 1, so that should be fine here.
Wait, but that min 1, this satisfies min 1.
This satisfies min 1.
That's,
yeah. No.
Yeah, no, I'm saying we want to make it not
right.
fit.
Okay, so we do 10, and this is just fun.
Okay.
But I also have to recompile, I guess. Wait. No up. Oh,
maybe live you did it for you or something?
Probably, yeah. Okay.
All right.
Damn it. Let's see. All right. Here we got.
Oh, this is funny because we can actually tell. We can tell without running any queries that fun doesn't meet the validation.
Right.
So it just gets there is no update that actually happens.
True.
Let's do something real quick. Go to make another update action. In your update action.
Action create. So update.
Yep. And call it set content to fun.
Okay.
All right. And then we're going to add a change called set, or called atomic update.
Like this?
Atomic, ATOMIC.
Sorry.
Let me just make sure I'm not lying to you. Yeah. And okay, now the attribute's going to be content. And then I'm kind of like trying to trick it to, cause like it's smart enough to not do. So we're going to put an expression in here.
Right.
Yeah. And then it's going to be like, hold on. I actually can't think of a way to trick it because, okay, do fragment. Do a fragment instead of so like no quotes.
But still expression?
Yeah, exactly. Fragment, and then the string in
Fun.
Postgres fun.
Okay.
You need single quotes. No, double quotes for the fragment string, and then for it to be a string in Postgres, you need single quotes inside of the double quotes.
Oh, interesting. Okay. It's like this.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're gonna go to our. This is kind of crazy, I know, but it's worth it. If you go into the your thing, you're not going to pass any input. You're just going to call bulk update call set content to fun.
Right.
In your IEX.
So I'm gonna do Ash. Oh, is it
bulk
on the
update.
resource? Bulk update. Yeah. So bulk update for that resource. Tweet, and then it's called set content to fun. And no arguments, right? So just close.
Add an empty map. I'm not sure if it's required or not. I forget, but
okay. Let's see.
Yeah. Okay. Do that.
Error count.
Okay.
Records. No.
So, but what's interesting about this is like, how do we do that?
Mm-hmm.
Because fun has to be determined in the database.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Like how did we give you an error back about the length of fun being, and it has to follow the rules. For example, that this is crazy. Watch this. Okay. Let's simplify this. Go back to the tweet.
Yeah.
And go to your attribute for content. And okay, and add constraints. And we're gonna say trim false. So it's a keyword list. Constraints are a keyword list. So trim ? False.
Like this.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay, now recompile and do that update again. Because what it's doing is it's putting the rules for trimming a string into the query. Right. So
right. Okay, this is already smaller here.
And now it's also putting the rule, which is that when there's a constraint called allow empty, and what that does is it means an empty string is treated as null.
Right.
Like, so when you submit a form with an empty string, right? So go back to your tweet and say allow empty true, where we are actually comfortable with an empty value. It'll be in that keyword. It'll be in that keyword list with constraints. Yep.
Like this.
Right. Yep.
All right.
Okay.
So here.
So now you can see we're not putting. So we know how to apply all the rules of things in a SQL query or not, so that the validations can be run in the Postgres database or not, and have the same semantics 100% of the time.
Right.
So we say, when the length is less than this thing, then raise an error in the database.
Yeah. JSONB builds, exception, text, input, font text, else, and then else, case. But you do that again, even. Wait, this is for the... I think this is, then...
Yeah, this is for the other one. Where that's the min and the max is the next one.
Right, yeah, when it's bigger than 10. So this is the min check and this is the max check. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. And you put
what that means is like, because think about the 99% of time when somebody submits a tweet, it's got the valid text in it because your like UI is validating that, right?
Yeah, true.
So like, do you really need to check it somewhere in your application side? When you're trying to bulk insert many of them, that means like you have to have that logic to go to do that for each one, right? And if we can do the smartest one for you. You could see that like when we could tell that the string was not too long in Elixir land, then we just didn't do a query. But now we can't. And this is what happens when you're writing regular apps with Ecto and stuff, is you have to rewrite the whole thing now. You're like, I need to insert multiple at the same time. And I have to put in all of my rules and rewrite the whole logic and everything, because that's the only way. I have to use insert all, which takes a query, and
insert all takes a list of change sets, right? So you can actually run your tweets through the change set function that you already have, and you also get an error probably if one of them fails. Yeah,
but the problem is when one of the values is computed from the database. Like, let's say somebody wanted to like randomize their tweets or put their email at the end of all of their tweets or some random shit, right? It's like, then you have to rewrite everything because you can't validate it on in Elixir anymore.
Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, what people usually had back in the day where they had like the validations in the database layer that now nobody does anymore. I mean, not many people do it.
Yeah.
But this actually adds it back to it, but kind of dynamically.
Yeah. Well, what's going to happen at some point, again, just time, is the migration generator. There's no reason why the migration generator can't look at the global validations list and see those should be constraints. And then just allow the data layer to raise it.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about being able to do it dynamically is it works for action specific constraints as well. So like if you just had that in the create action, it's not a rule of the table, it's a rule of the action.
True.
You don't have to like throw all that stuff out.
Yeah, because maybe sometimes I want to allow it. You know, if I'm an admin, I want to do something that a normal user can't do. So I can't add that as a constraint on my database, but you know, I still want to have the database check somehow. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, man, that's really cool stuff here. I would say, yeah, I like it a lot. Like, I mean, last time when we, because now I have you, of course, so I got the best introduction I could possibly get. I mean, it was just last time when I started with this, I went through but I think that was all before you had the Igniter stuff and so on. So now I went through the get started thing, and then it basically told me, well, you have to copy paste like these 50 lines of code if you want to get authentication. And then so I was like, maybe I'm okay, I'm gonna wait a little bit. But now it's just Igniter install, you know, Ash authentication, and I don't have to copy anything. So yeah, this actually makes it a lot more approachable. Yeah, the question is, when is the book coming out? That's the big question here.
We're hoping to have it in beta this year. No promises, but we're hoping to have it in beta this year.
Good.
Making good progress. So, and like it's funny because you can kind of see like how, like looking at how Igniter happened, like I take very, I guess like ambitious is the right word, approach it. Like I'm like, okay, Ash framework needs generators. And I could have just like written some mixed tasks, but instead I'm like, I'm going to create a whole new thing for the ecosystem, a framework for generators so anybody can use it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the philosophy behind how a lot of things Ash works is like when we want to get a certain set of benefits, we solve the problem like in the general case of the problem so that we can use it anywhere. So now any change can expose an atomic callback, and any type can say, I live in the GraphQL like this, or I have a JSON schema of this. Right. So then when you use Ash JSON API, you get an open API definition for free, the same way you get the admin UI, and your custom types can say, here's what I look like in an open API schema. True. Like all of that sort of stuff is like, we create this like spinal cord for everything, and everything, you know, comes out of that.
Yeah, true.
And Igniter is kind of the same thing. It's like, I want everybody to be able to write good, smart project patchers and generators. And so we have to do the hard thing.
Definitely. I mean, I like Ignite a lot because I thought the other day, you know, like a lot of people are building the starter package, or what's it called, starter kits, you know, like Bootstrap, like where you can quickly create a project for something. Like there's this ship fast stuff, you know, these whatever, starter kits. And I thought, well, they could also be starter kits for other topics, like not necessarily a big, you know, SaaS starter kit or something, but just like, here, this is a starter kit for adding a blog to your website. Right? And you want to use like Nimble Publisher, and then you want to use some Markdown converter, and you want to use whatever, some CSS and maybe some JavaScript as well. I mean, maybe that is a bit too much, but still, like you just want to set up Nimble Publisher, and you want to set up your routes, and you want to set up like SEO tags. You know, that's something you always have to do manually. So I was like, hey, you know, like if I would do that, what would I use? And then I looked at Igniter because I saw that Beacon is using it, and I was like, that's interesting. Yeah, you can just, like, you know, create a task, like an install task for Igniter, and just run it, and that's it, basically.
Absolutely. I think it's interesting because like I kind of, okay, what am I trying to say here? In some ways, I think starter kits, I don't like starter kits. Yeah. In some ways, primarily because they solve a problem I don't think that one of the problems they solve is a problem I don't think we should have in the first place, which is that I can't say mix install ecto.
Yeah.
in, you know, and all, or I can't build up my app. I have to like use Phoenix New, and I get what I gets. You know, you gets what you gets,
Yeah.
right? And it's like I don't really like that.
Yeah.
So, but with that said, I think people who are making starter kits, they currently, the way they distribute those things is really not good.
No.
Like the way that those starter, it's like download a zip file or like, you know,
Yeah.
all this sort of stuff, right? So I think those people should be like loving Igniter. Like Igniter is a way where, okay, you write, here's what it looks like to do that, my thing, and you can write it now in the context of applying it to an existing app and provide a one-click install. And so it's like, I think even though I think you shouldn't need to reach for a starter kit just because it's hard to get a basic installation of 10 different libraries. I think that this allows those starter kits to go way faster, right?
Yeah.
So the starter kit for Pedal Pro is like runs the Ecto installer and these installers, and then it adds what their magic at the end. And their magic, you know, isn't the Ecto crap or like setting up Phoenix or whatever in a certain way. Like that should all be provided by those libraries.
True.
So I hope we get to that world
Yeah.
with Igniter, you know, before long.
And the other thing is like usually a starter kit is a whole project thing, you know, but with Igniter you can even have small parts and maybe even sell them as small parts. You know, if you only need like a Stripe integration with subscriptions that you need to handle in your product, like just buy that and then use Mix Igniter. And I'm sure, do you work with private repos as well, or does everything have to be on Hex?
I think it should work with private. Oh, there would be one. Okay, maybe like a small change would require for it to actually work that way, because we like explicitly hit the Hex API. So there might be like some small config. Like we do that to determine the version.
Yeah.
But if you give us a literal version, like we could support like a -- repo option or something like that.
Yeah.
That tells us
that would be the best, because actually I'm in the process of setting up my own private Hex repo. And it would be really interesting to have like, yeah, I mean, you need to add the repo anyway. Like you need to do mix heeks.repo add and like with the authentication key and that kind of stuff. So that's fine. But then if you want to install a dependency, usually in mix in the depth array, you can just add repo and then your private repo and it fetches it from there, right? So if you could add that to Igniter, I can just say Igniter install and then my library --repo, you know, private repo. That would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely could do that. I'd probably need to call it like --hex repo, just because repo is such a loaded term. But yeah,
anything, just
like somebody's going to want to use that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Any option.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that'd be easy, because you can already you can say mxigniter.install package at, and then you can say path : somewhere on my file system, or package at GitHub : some GitHub repository.
Yeah.
So we could do the same thing where we could say package at, maybe, that's probably what it would be, package at repo : you know, like a syntax for saying go get it from this repo, or a --hex repo or something. There's a million different ways we can do it.
Just give me any option and I'm happy with it.
Perfect. Yeah.
All right, we got a couple of questions here. First of all, from Adam, will there ever be a MySQL data layer? We have an enterprise app we'd love to use Ash on, but MySQL is a blocker.
There is a MySQL data layer.
Okay.
So
Adam.
Yeah.
It's
a little bit
MySQL.
Yeah, Ash MySQL.
One component.
Wait, what am I? So we have SQLite. We have MySQL. It's in. Maybe it's only on GitHub. Is it only on GitHub right now?
Here. There you go. No, that's
something else. Look in our GitHub. I mean, I could swear there's a MySQL.
So this is Ash project.
Or am I just thinking of SQLite and?
We got the SQLite.
Wait, what? Oh, somebody else made an Ash MySQL package.
Wait.
Am I being crazy? I could swear we had MySQL.
Yeah, Ash codes 18 MySQL.
No, that's something else. Okay, check in that forum topic, because maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe.
Yeah, MySQL connector for Ash. So you said on May 28. Wait for active changes. Point Ash MySQL at those. So it already exists here. There, Ash project MySQL.
Wait, what?
It
exists. Why didn't that show up when you were searching?
Yeah, that's weird. I look for.
Wait, are there 5 pull requests? I think I'm not watching that repo.
Ash project. Am I stupid? How did this? What?
I'm not watching it, so I haven't been getting these.
Oh my god.
Issues and. Oh my gosh.
Well, it's just
yeah. Oh, they're just dependent by. Okay. There's one bug, one issue.
Yeah, problems
a while back.
initiate.
Oh no, wait, I answered that one.
Oh, sorry. They said MS SQL. That's something different, not MySQL.
Oh.
Yeah, that's Microsoft SQL. Sorry. Thank
Here's
you,
what I'll
Barnabas.
say. Also, what I'll say about that is we have created a package called Ash SQL that's designed to be shared across SQL data layers, right? So Ash Postgres uses Ash SQL, and it's a thing that you can use. It's not really like super well documented because it's not meant for like end users, but it's designed to abstract away the general process of working with Ecto against a SQL database. So what you would do, it's still a big process, but what we would do is we would make an MS SQL, Ash MS SQL. We'd copy Ash MySQL or something like that, tweak some of the stuff, but the bulk of the query building logic and all this other stuff actually lives in Ash SQL. And so you wouldn't have to rewrite all of that stuff. Right. So it wouldn't be a super easy thing, but
okay. But okay, for
if
now,
our company has a client, we might do it. But yeah, for now, try. Oh no, wait. For now, you don't have.
I mean, maybe Adam reach out to Zach if it's an enterprise customer and they're willing to pay. Who knows? Maybe money will
that kind of thing
make this a little bit more smooth, the whole process.
Yeah. and if it's an open source thing, we help. Rates are a little different.
Definitely, yeah. Bob said it would be nice to support -- organization like Hex does. Oh.
Right. Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah. See, Hex repo organization already 2 requests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put them in the notes.
Somebody says Igniter really revolutionized my projects. Thank you, Zach, for all your efforts. There you go.
You are very welcome. And I know the project that that user is referring to.
Oh, nice.
I'm gonna mangle his name, so I'm not gonna try to say it. Yeah. But I'm excited about that project as well. So
yeah, awesome, cool. No other questions. Yeah, when's the book coming out? We already did that. Cool. There's another question from Rosanus a while back already. Any plans to make an UI for ignited generators? Something similar to YII2 code generators? What is YII2? PHP.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have short-term plans for doing that sort of thing, but I do have long-term plans for something maybe I would say even better.
Right.
But with that said, it's open source software, right? So
True.
It's got stable interfaces. Everybody's welcome to build that kind of thing. And you have my blessing and support.
Yeah, that's always the thing. Like, just get an MVP or like a POC ready, and then you can ping the library creator, and maybe they help you to bring it to production eventually. You just need to get started. Somebody needs to get started with that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Well, otherwise, Zach, I guess, we could wrap it up a little.
Yeah, we've been going. This is the longest live stream I've done. So
there you go.
Yeah. So yeah, I could use a bathroom break anyway. So yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah, I think so too. Me too. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. It was really, really useful. It was really, really interesting as well. Sorry for asking all these very detailed questions, but you
made it more fun for me because we got to kind of take some tangents and onto the fun stuff, and
it's it's always the point. If I see something like this, I'm like, well, but how does it work under the hood? And you actually explained it really well. So that was really insightful. Thank you. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Zach, for coming along. Thank you, everyone, for joining the stream. The code will be on GitHub. I'm just going to push it out right now. And yeah, the stream is also recorded on YouTube, so you can watch it later if you want to. And otherwise, follow Zach. He's live streaming as well on YouTube as well. Just look for Zach Daniel on YouTube. And he's on Blue Sky and Twitter as well. And yeah, give Ash a try. I really like it. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Zach. And